Down at the absolute rock bottom, that's where I was thrown, clowned on, chained up, and completely underestimated by the whole world, officially tagged as the worst talent ever recorded. No money, zero allies, completely ignored. Everyone thought I'd get bodied on the very first challenge, but they made a fatal mistake. The second the game booted up, my dark past awakened. And no one saw that coming. The ancient sword god finally made his comeback, nailing flawless parries. Colossal bosses wiped out in the blink of an eye, with zero magic involved, just raw strength and pure instinct. I'm gonna prove that true power doesn't even need a name. So get ready to watch me dominate everything. Drop a like and subscribe to follow my story. The crowd loses it. Nobody can believe the guy's level in the game, and the fans go so wild that some of them are actually crying right there. The energy at the event is off the charts. Everyone losing their minds over what's happening on stage. Scoreboard on the screen, the champion holds the top spot, and the crowd won't stop screaming. On stage, the champion raises the trophy and the arena explodes into pure celebration. Cheers everywhere. The champion runs the whole thing with an elite crew right behind her. While the whole world talks about her, the boy quietly begins his real journey inside the capsule. Then the host officially announces the trophy presentation moment on stage. Jia flashes a confident smile, already feeling like the game is about to shift. 6 years pass, and the story cuts straight to the company's massive headquarters. Walking into the lobby, the boy comes in cool and calm, ready to handle business. The capsule lid opens slowly, revealing that sleek, futuristic interior. Stepping out gradually, he catches his breath like he's still half inside the game. Opening his eyes, the boy tries to process everything he just experienced in there. Beside him, Director Jihai smiles quietly, watching his every move. The one running things is Oh Jae-hei, research director of the development center. Still calm, he mentions that the feeling after the game is a lot better now. Sitting on the edge of the capsule, he notices his body feels way lighter. Jihai agrees and goes straight into explaining how that high-end capsule works. Right after she starts laying out all the technical details and how the system operates. Smiling, the director says the system delivers full immersion for anyone. She also guarantees that low sync rates won't be a problem in the game. But he gives her that look, like, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Then she drops it with a smile. The thing costs 100 million won. His expression just freezes right there, doing the math on what that means. Worse, he remembers he's only got 458 won in his account. Even so, she keeps that strange smile, like someone who already has a plan. Stepping into the capsule, multiple virtual lives glow all around him. The system explains the device combines VR and industry to make dreams real. Then the system links to everything, making it clear this experience is on another level. In action, he charges forward and drives the sword into the creature's head with full force. The monster takes the hit and collapses without even having time to react. Without stopping, the boy comes in with flaming blades ready to finish the fight. Now the whole world is talking about this game, and the vibe is already intense. The enemy is a massive, sinister giant, but he faces it head-on, no hesitation. The blades cut through the air and the tension peaks. The show is set. Taking his stance, he grips the flaming blade, ready to move. This technology becomes a craze, and everyone gets hooked on living inside the game. But the system crashes hard and he passes out in the capsule, in really bad shape. The sync rate locks at 10% and the game barely even registers him. Bottom line, his rate was way too low to handle that level of immersion. On the bus, he just watches gameplay videos on his phone, super relaxed. Scrolling through the feed, he sees tutorial tips and just gets annoyed at everyone. Then he sighs, not believing what he's seeing on the screen. Staring at the tutorial, he can't accept how bad the plays are. Lost in thought, he watches the street through the window, letting time drift by. The bus rolls on and he stares at the champion's poster, frustrated with everything. Night falls and the scene cuts straight to the building where he lives. The stream is live, and Taewoo is going crazy over the champion's event. Snack in hand, Taewoo watches in disbelief, not even blinking. Then the boy walks into the room and just watches the chaos, not getting any of it. On screen, they announce the duel between champion Shin Haeyeon and the challenger. The hype is real. Sitting on the floor, he asks if this tournament is actually that big of a deal. Taewoo almost chokes. How is this guy so out of the loop and not even using a capsule? Losing it, Taewoo explains it's the famous League of Stramming, and adds, it's the biggest event on the planet with record-breaking viewership. In the end, the boy runs through everyone and takes the trophy. The whole crowd is speechless. He tries to understand the meta, but an archer shows up on screen, way too precise. Then the champion appears, commanding, showing that the level here is something else. The camera catches a swordsman with a dark aura, making the one-on-one feel genuinely dangerous. Thoughtful, the boy analyzes the situation, picking his next move. Meanwhile, he munches on a snack with no idea that a headache is coming his way. Taewoo sees him eating, all calm and nearly short circuits. Then Taewoo goes off about fame and the boy just listens, completely unbothered. Out of nowhere, the boy's phone starts blowing up on the table, breaking the mood, and it keeps buzzing hard like it's actually urgent. He picks it up and reads the message. Have you made a decision yet? The message is pressing for an answer about the VR capsule invite. The wait is real. Looking at the capsules, he remembers Jihei made access easier so we could get started. Jihei stares seriously, making it clear, decide now or it's off the table. Without hesitating, she offers the expensive capsule for free and he just freezes. Smiling, Jia hands over the paperwork, betting big on his potential. On the couch, snacking, he decides to accept and dive into this world for real. Still in disbelief, he can't hide that "wait, seriously?" look on his face. A small smile shows up. He finally chose to take on the challenge, and the confidence hits strong, like he already knows he's going to run everything. Taewoo just watches, trying to understand where all that certainty comes from. Calling out the attitude, Taewoo pushes back, and the boy just holds that smirk. Suddenly, his expression shifts and goes serious, like a true master. He wonders if he just wants to feel that glory again, back when he was the sword god. In silence, he stares into the distance, like someone ready to prove who he really is. The look in his eyes gives it away. The master is back, facing everything without flinching. Surrounded, he doesn't even flinch. Hand moving to the sword, the tension closing in. No words. He draws the blade in one clean motion, ready to handle it. In one fast, precise strike, he takes everyone down before they even process what happened. Back turned, won from the fight, he stands with the sword like it's nothing. With everything quiet, he stares into the distance, feeling the past pulling him forward. Night settles over the temple, and he breathes deep, getting ready for what's next. But the memory shifts. He appears captured and chained in a heavy, dark place, and the scene drives it home. Bound in chains, he relives a past he tried to bury. Even so, he pushes back, and the whole situation flips when he charges forward. Then a man with an overwhelming presence appears, staring the boy down without mercy. On the ground, he faces the memory head-on, feeling the full weight of it all. Then the master appears and reaches out a hand, bringing the origin of everything into focus. With a calm look, the master seems to pull him up from rock bottom. The scene goes further back. The master offers his hand and frees him from that life of hardship. Without that rescue, the sword god would never have existed. Back in the present, he pauses with a brush in hand, thinking of his mentor. That memory still hits, but he faces the present with a cool head. But the nostalgia fades fast, and he closes his eyes, locked in focus. Then he glances to the side with boredom. No patience for what he's hearing. Taewoo comes in with demands, and the boy shows his irritation right away. No filter. He slips for a second, jumping in shock at what he sees. Right after, he drops a "what's all the fuss about" capsule right there beside him. With a bored expression, he makes it clear he's not interested in this conversation. Cutting it short, he repeats, "What's all the fuss about?" Taewoo loses it over the ranking, but he just points, not even reacting to the energy. On the stream, Taewoo is stunned, and the boy stays completely unbothered. The truth, he shows up on the stream just to have fun, try a snack, and ask for likes. But in practice, he throws out a clean strike and makes it clear he's serious. Even under pressure, he still taunts the boss, totally shameless about it. Back in the present, he stares at the screen like he just saw something impossible. Worse, the stream is empty, the chat is going off, and the viewer count drops to almost nothing. Taewoo crosses his arms, skeptical, not buying the story at all. Keeping that closed-off posture, he thinks his friend is really messing up. But the boy ignores the mockery, looking like someone who knows exactly what he's doing. He just sighs, holding back the smile of someone about to prove everyone wrong. Meanwhile, the champion appears on screen with the trophy, shining at the top. Even being doubted, he stays in control, not caring about his friend's skepticism. With a little smirk, he says success isn't just about playing, you need something more. Hand on the capsule, he makes it clear, the secret is dominating with style. Taewoo still doesn't believe it, but he settles into the capsule, ready to show. Ignoring the warnings, he locks in and flashes that confident smile. Not giving the conversation any attention, he gets in the capsule already knowing the outcome. Fully inside, the countdown begins and the system connects to virtual reality. The system counts. In 10 seconds he's in, no going back now. The screen loads the character data, and the game is about to begin for real. Menu opens. Data good. Account empty. Record blank. He's already in the zone. Eyes closed, he relaxes and focuses while the system syncs with the server. The mystery hits. He stands with his back turned, still, ready to move in this new world. Focused on the connection, he prepares for first access and doesn't hesitate. The connection surges, intense light, and the system fully activates. But the instability is concerning, and his system almost crashes completely. Even so, he enters the training field, already locked in on the challenge. Right then, a notification pops up. Taewoo just entered the training area. He's inside, but the connection flickers and the system stutters a bit. When it stabilizes, he appears with a little smirk, like he's about to cause trouble. In the training session, Taewoo faces him, ready to test if the talent is real or just talk. Reaching the center, he sees digital targets floating around, everything set for the test. Out of nowhere, Taewoo puts a sword in his hand, just to mess with him. He faces the holographic display, time to see if the skill is actually real. The customization opens with robot levels, and the target is set at 77%. Focused, he adjusts everything, wanting to know if it's real or just hype. On the display, he reads the data to beat the record against the AI. Eye on the panel, he keeps tweaking the settings without losing focus. Adjusting the holographic aim, he sets up the test the most direct way possible. He studies the robot frame, already marking where the defense can be broken. Then an icon pops on screen, his smug little avatar face saying, "Ready." Without trembling, he grips the gear and gets set to deliver. His partner warns this level copies the style of the #1 ranked player, and it's already attacking. He blocks with shocking calm and still smiles, facing the champion level. A little smirk comes out easy, like this is just warm-up. Without blinking, he stops the strike with ease, enjoying it like it's a game. Same rhythm. He deflects the attack and keeps moving smoothly, like it weighs nothing. The tension rises, the duel starts for real, and the robot comes with everything. The robot attacks, but he counters calmly, turning the duel into practice. Then he breaks through the defense and hits the robot's chest, dropping the HP to the limit. Right then he senses things just got serious, and his eyes say exactly that. The robot pushes forward, and he just waits, still, for the exact right moment to respond. When he spots the opening, he cuts fast and dismantles the machine before it can react. In the clash of blades, a blue light trail appears on screen, and the blue trail shows up again, with Taewoo left completely speechless. In one swift strike, he breaks the robot's defense, and a blue glow bursts across the screen. The impact bends the metal, and Taewoo watches, frozen, not believing what he's seeing. Taewoo is in total shock, wondering if it was luck or if this guy is just on another level. Without holding back, he pins the robot down and locks it in place. It can't take the pressure. Keeping his foot firm, he traps the machine completely, the metal giving way. The robot goes still like it already knows it lost. Heavy atmosphere. With a victory smirk, he watches his opponent locked up right in front of him. Then the armor starts failing, glitching, and the screen cutting out. The system can't hold and collapses. The opponent crashing down all buggy. The failure gets worse. The enemy glitches on the ground, and he just watches, calm. Same scene, the enemy stays glitched on the floor, and he doesn't even move. The level 9 victory confirms it. He enters the top 107 with 10 HP left. Taewoo stutters, not believing he actually cleared max difficulty. No reaction on his face. He just waits, because he knows there's more coming. The system processes and forms a new cybernetic armor, way more threatening. The screen shifts and the armor appears. Now it actually looks serious, and the champion is linked to that armor, showing the level just went up. Breathing hard, he feels the tension, like the danger just got way too close. Even so, he appears calm on screen, just taking in the situation. In the lab, Ji-hai analyzes the data, and her colleague can't make sense of any of it. The two of them go over the reports near the capsules, trying to find meaning in the numbers. Same place, they compare result and find the whole test just doesn't add up. While they discuss his performance, he's already got his mind on the next step. Ji-hai stays focused on his results, going over it with her colleague. In the report, Jin Seo-jun, 23 years old, sync rate low, 10%. He lets out a quiet smile, like someone not worried about the analysis at all. Ji-hai, on the other hand, looks puzzled, trying to make sense of the impossible right there. And then she smiles to herself, realizing she just found something rare. She grants access, rental in progress appears, and he just wants to get started. The camera pulls up to the ceiling, and the tension builds. The challenge against the legend has begun. He enters the confrontation and locks blades with the champions, sparks flying everywhere. Serious and ready, he sees the recording notification and confirms without thinking. The screen asks if he wants to record, and he hits yes right away. With a confident smirk, he locks in completely, ready to win the duel. The champion comes in fast, and he doesn't flinch at all. She cuts through the air, and he blocks on reflex. Red light flashing at the clash. Her strike lands clean, and he fires right back. Heavy exchange. Again, she brings the cut down, and he holds it on reflex, absorbing the pressure. Cold eyes, he adjusts his footing, ready to counter like a legend. The champion appears confident, and he faces her with a smirk, like he already knows how this ends. She shows up commanding, and he stays cool like someone who's seen worse. And that's where it gets crazy. He casually confirms that the legend everyone talks about is him. Taewoo panics at the revelation, not knowing how to react. He stays steady, facing everything with a fearless look. The mood shifts, and he decides to go on the offensive, proving he can dominate one-on-one. But he still yawns, completely relaxed, like this is just basic training. Without delay, he draws the sword, ready to settle it the most direct way possible. In one sharp pull, he's set to go all in, no stalling. The blade barely drops and he's already charging, ignoring any talk about fame or streams. The champion comes with everything, and he braces for the impact, no blinking. Even holding firm, he takes a hit to the midsection, and the system logs the HP loss. The surprise registers. He didn't expect things to get heavy that fast. Taewoo's jaw drops, watching how he makes everything look effortless, and he keeps taunting just to rile up the crowd and pull attention. Still, he drops into combat stance, sword steady, focus locked in. In a quick burst, he charges without hesitation, pure reflex. Moving like lightning, he cuts through the air and leaves no room for a counter. He stares down the opponent's visor and tests himself. Can he win on reflex alone? The look on his face says total focus, ready to go head-to-head with the champion. The clash hits hard. She stops him in his tracks, but he holds the strike without stepping back. Without wavering, he blocks with precision and shows his level is in a different league. The champion appears in her classic armor and he stays firm, facing her straight on. The glow of the armor signals she came serious, and he doesn't give an inch. Without blinking, he brushes off the pressure and gets ready to show who's really in charge. She advances, and he answers with a kick, proving he's not just for show. Following up, he lands a clean kick on the armor, and the impact echoes. She pushes again, he kicks again, and the armor lights up from the impact. Her weapon glows with energy, and the lock strike leaves the air feeling heavy. The boss is thrown off by the silence and asks why he isn't attacking, he just watches. The impact carves a crater in the ground, showing just how much force the boy carries. Without giving an opening, he brings the sword down fast, keeping the pressure on. Right after, he chain strikes without stopping, a full-on reflex duel. Sparks fly in the clash of swords, and he doesn't give a single second of breathing room. The ground shakes from the impact, and he keeps steady, not losing his rhythm. But then he freezes, watching the ceiling start to give way right at that moment. The clash shatters the champion's sword, and he can barely process it. She comes in with a powerful kick while the blade fragments fly everywhere. From the look in that little smirk, it's clear his confidence is at an all-time high. He points the sword and holds his stance. Champion down, no reaction left. Same energy, he aims the blade right at the cornered opponent directly in front of him. In a flash, he dismantles the armor system, leaving her with no answer. He tosses the sword into the air and leaves the opponent frozen. Taewoo is shocked. Then the notification drops. The owner of level 10 has changed, and he freezes in surprise. The system repeats the level 10 alert, and the shock just keeps building. He stares ahead, processing that the game just flipped against him. Outside, the sun is out. Inside, he's chillin' while Taewoo does all the work. While he rests, Taewoo handles the chores, clearly annoyed. Even watching him eat instant noodles in peace, Taewoo is burning inside. Brushing his teeth, he's still totally fine, and the girl in the background is at her limit. Opening the door, he comes face to face with the capsule that's about to change everything. He stops in front of it, ready to dive into the game without stalling. The capsule powers on, a blue glow fills the space, and the immersion calls. Lying inside, he closes his eyes and the system lights up strong. The light bursts, marking the start of full immersion. Focus in his eyes, he enters the game, and the immersion kicks in for real. He wakes up in the virtual world, calm, reading the terrain without rushing. With a steady look, he faces the system like someone who's been through a lot. Serious eyes. He seems to map the entire scene just by looking at it. A friendly notification pops up, but he doesn't even blink. Locked on the mission, he checks the screen, and an upbeat virtual assistant appears to guide the tutorial. Looking half asleep, he stares into the void while the game loads the beginning. In the menu, he takes in every detail, absorbing everything before the chaos starts. Opening the menu, he sees multiple streams, from casual to zombie survival in full chaos. Then the ranking appears, top slot glowing, calling anyone who wants to climb. He looks at the city from a distance, reading the terrain to kick off the new phase. The city is massive and way too bright, the perfect stage for things to go sideways. Everything there looks luxurious, like a whole new life ready to begin. He strolls through the city in style with a girl by his side. Feels like a period film. Online, people doubt him, but he stays locked in on what matters. Time ticks away, and the clock tower glows, like a warning that the moment has come. Without stalling, he fires the grappling hook at the top of the wall and starts climbing. The hook catches firm, and he secures his grip to scale it without a second thought. He slams a hit into the ground and opens a crater, full power on display. Using the hook, he pulls himself up with speed, climbing to infiltrate the mansion. At the top of the wall, he plants his hand and keeps going, no concern for being subtle. No subtlety at all. He scales way too fast, ready to break in. All in black, he commands the top of the wall, set to go inside. Confident, he slips into the mansion like someone who already knows the layout. Grinning like a winner, he gets comfortable. The stream is about to go live. The broadcast starts, and he asks the chat for tips, playing the total beginner. On the stream, he keeps the act going, asking for help like he doesn't know anything. He focuses on the interface, acting lost, checking if the plan is actually going to work. Dropping a "if you say so," he jokes around while Taewoo munches on snacks at home. On stream, he drops the truth. This isn't his first time with virtual reality. Strong wind, heavy atmosphere, and he faces it all with the cold eyes of someone who's lived this. From above, he looks out over the lit-up city like he knows every corner of it. He watches the crowd below, like someone revisiting a familiar place. Calmly, he scans the street, reading everything like he's already been here before. A small smile shows up, like he already knows what's coming next. Then heavy footsteps echo, signaling someone arrived without trying to hide it. His eyes lock onto a golden glow, zeroing in on the blonde who steps into view. The blonde appears serious and firm, making it clear she's not here to play around. He faces her with a confident smile, not bothered by the tension at all. He notices that in the tutorial, NPC dialogue plays automatically, and he keeps that intimidating look. Seeing the poster, it sinks in. The assassin's journey ahead is going to be rough. The blonde freezes, caught off guard by being met with that level of cool confidence. Smiling, he makes it clear whoever hunts in this game can also become the hunted. She takes a breath and warns dealing with whoever's on their trail won't be easy. Way too calm, he pats her on the head and offers a new deal. She reaches out and hands him a small envelope in a moment of trust. The deal is sealed right there, and he stays steady, like someone who already knows the ending. That side smile of his appears, now he's going to act for real. Dagger in hand, he shows the fun is over. It's all about combat now. Without hesitation, he grabs the cable and leaps off the rooftop without fear. With precision, he grabs the metal cable and jumps into action with style. Using the cable, he launches into the air and keeps his focus locked during the fall. He lands hard on the middle structure, and the impact makes everything shake. Not subtle at all. He comes down with force and announces his presence in the area. His eyes shift, combat mode on, ready to show master-level skill. The system beeps saying the easy part is over, and he already looks annoyed about it. He looks at the path ahead and realizes the simple plan just went out the window. Staring at the pipes, he mutters, "I take that back. This is useless." He sees the wall covered in pipes and accepts it's going to take brute force climbing, with a "you've got to be kidding" look. He accepts there's no shortcut here. He grips the pipe tight, and a blue energy starts glowing across the scene. In a burst, he shoots upward fast, leaving a blue trail as he climbs. No complaints. He powers through with raw strength, blue light exploding as he goes. He looks at his glowing hands and is surprised by the force that just came out of nowhere. Mocking in his focus, he's clear. The mission is to take down a man named Aitor. The system brings up the mission, neutralize a noble named Itare. Map in hand, he checks the route, ready to track down the target. The route appears clearly laid out, and he just memorizes the path and moves. He rappels down from the rooftop on a rope, agile, heading straight for the objective. Descending, he doesn't blink, focused like nothing else exists. But then, curiosity takes over, and he decides to press the button just to see what happens. Without overthinking, he hits the button, just to test it. Done with the rope, he just jumps and drops, wanting to reach the objective fast. Instead of rappelling, he lets go and just falls. Zero caution. He hits the ground hard, kicking up dust, and arrives drawing attention from everywhere. The dust settles, but he keeps moving, like it was all part of the show. The system jokes, playing like that. He's gotta be a beginner. He doesn't care. And doubles down, definitely a beginner. But that's exactly what makes the stream pop off. In the chat, everyone laughs and confirms only a new player would do that. Others join in, saying everyone's been there at the start. The chat explodes laughing and starts roasting the nickname Zizan, and they keep clowning on Zizan, not letting up for a second. The chaos in the chat builds, and Taewoo is hyped up by every single move. The crowd starts going after usernames too, and he tries to keep up while laughing. Even with the chaos, he smirks and checks the system panel. He looks at the usernames and makes a face like, "What is this stuff?" Then he stops, raises a finger, and thinks back to his friend's advice. He stares down the chat, but then remembers the advice and switches his mindset. He gets it. To build from zero, what matters is talking directly to the audience. And figures out that big streams are messy. To stand out, you need a personal connection. The chat pushes back, wanting to know if he's actually a new player. Digging into his profile, He checks and confirms, account created 2 days ago, and tells him to set it to private. The community investigates and he keeps it real. If you don't want to be seen, protect yourself. Not paying attention to the comments, he stays locked in on what matters. Under a reddish moonlight, he stops in front of the creepy mansion, ready for the tutorial. Blocking out the chat noise, he faces the entrance with a "let's get this done" look. The tension rises, he stares down the gate and prepares to break in without hesitation. Way too relaxed. He reads the map and the message to figure out his next move. Map open. He checks the instructions on the paper so he doesn't miss anything. But he ignores the map and just charges in with the weapon, wants to handle it by force. The system activates and his fist glows blue, ready to force his way through. Without waiting for a charge, he already grips the weapon tight, ready to cause damage. Straight to the point. He grabs a sword handle, committed to going direct. Before the system finishes, energized hands grab him, and he doesn't react much. The system signals that's exactly it, and he puts on the most bored face possible. Taiwu calls him out. He didn't even read the rest of the blonde's note, he just had to follow it. The system jokes, "That's fine, he'll learn from getting hit," and warns another one is coming. The chat starts giving up, but he's totally fine, looking like someone who doesn't care. Ignoring everyone, he reads, "If you fail, enemies get stronger. Stealth is the better move." The game drives the warning home and suggests go in stealthy, with a pretty strange punishment for getting caught. The system says, if caught, you take 100 smacks, and the new player shakes at that. But sometimes a veteran comes along who skips stealth entirely and goes in pure strength. The guard mocks, and the player is terrified. That's the so-called warrior style. That's the whole approach. Zero subtlety, everything on direct attack. One guy tried for 10 hours, gave up, and promised to come back after the first round. Another one did the same, 10 hours in, dropped it, and said he'd return once the round closed. He drops the truth. You can only pull that off with champion-level control. He repeats it, without champion-tier control, that approach just doesn't work. Firm steps forward. He moves through the space, owning it, confidence above the norm. Hearing the rival's name, he smiles under the hood, a little cynical about it. Under the red sky, the mansion seems to be waiting for him, with a very unwelcoming energy. The pressure of the place is heavy, but he doesn't blink. Sharp in focus. Holding that steady stare, he faces the challenge head-on and stays ready to win. The chat doubts him and starts clowning, thinking he won't get past that level. The crowd calls him a reckless newbie and brings up Shin Heian. He ignores it and keeps going. Solid steps on the ground, he moves forward like the chat's pressure doesn't even exist. Heavily armored guards surround him and a confrontation becomes unavoidable. Right then the mood gets intense, but he keeps his cool, like someone who already knows the ending. The chat says he's going down fast, but he just smirks, fully confident. The crowd says they want to see him out in 3 seconds. He doesn't even flinch. The gnat attacks straight on, trying to end it all by force. He just locks onto the incoming blade, calm, like he already knows the exact spot. Without losing his posture, he blocks the strike, sparks jumping at the clash. His precision sends the knight stumbling back, with no idea what just happened. The soldier goes down locked up and shaking, and he stays standing like it's just routine. The chat loses it, saying it was luck, trying to figure out what that move even was. The crowd asks in disbelief, did this new player just pull off a parry? He just watches, way too calm, genuinely not understanding why everyone's going off. Gripping the handle, he keeps total focus while the impact makes everything vibrate. A red flash cuts across the screen. The damage dealt to the enemy was massive. Even seeing that, no reaction, he looks like someone just getting started. Another guard pushes forward and he stays firm, not feeling the pressure at all. He blocks it perfectly, and the blue spark gives it away. His level is well above the rest. While the chat debates luck or not, he stays locked on the mission, not blinking. In the chat, some call the double parry wild, others say it was just luck. He just stares at the notification, looking like he didn't understand any of it. On the other side, the enemy shakes, and he stares back with cold, impatient eyes. One clean strike cuts through the air, making it clear, one-hit takedown. Following up, he connects, and the knight dissolves into digital particles, 1000 damage on screen. The screen fires off a "yeah," but then a "why" pops up and nobody gets it. With the most unbothered face, he says he doesn't even know what a parry is. The chat goes into shock. How does he not know after pulling off something like that? Not getting the drama, he ignores the chaos, caught between genius and lucky. Picking at his ear, he looks bored and just wants someone to explain already. Under the red moon, he finally figures out what's going on and decides to push forward. Some guy sketches a stick figure on the ground, block at the right moment, and the enemy staggers. The chat roasts the rough drawing, but the tip actually seems solid. Meanwhile, he reads the whole situation with a veteran's eyes, no sign of worry. Without flinching, he anticipates the dummy's strike and blocks at the perfect moment. This time, he locks the blade with ease and questions if this is really what the top rank looks like. Just watching the movement, he calculates everything with a cool head. Perfect parry already mapped out. Now a warning pops up. Did you get the parry? If not, you might as well quit. Straight up, the warning repeats, if you didn't get it, turn around and leave. With a side smirk, he treats the provocation like a bad joke, but he ignores it and takes a firm step forward, ready to prove his own style. While the chat says he's lost his mind, he smiles and says it's not even that hard. Forget luck. That was too precise, and he knows this isn't normal. A glint in the eyes, someone in the chat just connected the dots about him. The crowd doesn't hold back, going off, asking who he thinks he is to play guru. Turning toward the camera, he realizes the only one who understood is getting attacked by everyone. Then dark memories creep in, back when even masters doubted him. Facing those shadows, he remembers when talent without a famous name meant nothing. In his mind, the memory is sharp. His skills were always overlooked. Back in the present, he smiles faintly. Judging a newcomer never goes away. Heavy footsteps echo. Soldiers close in, and he stays calm like it's nothing. 5 knights tighten the circle at once, swords drawn, giving him no room. Gripping the weapon handle, he decides, in the end, he's going to settle this by force. The ground cracks as he launches forward, a charge so fast the air itself shakes. Without wasting a second, he drives the blade into the rival's chest and takes them down hard. One of them fires back with a heavy overhead strike, trying to crush whoever's in the way. Sharp-eyed, he intercepts at exactly the right moment, metal flashing on impact. Under pressure, he pushes forward without caring about defense, leaving the other with no answer. On impact, he blocks on reflex, and the opponent freezes, not expecting any resistance. This time, the block comes out clean, sparks flying, holding back the brute force. Again, he absorbs the heavy hit, sparks everywhere, and the other one is stunned. In a flash, he locks the attack and a wave of light erupts. Rival completely shocked. Going on the offensive, he cuts through the air and vanishes from the angle, leaving everyone lost. In the chat, questions explode. How is he running through everyone without breaking a sweat? Keeping his composure, he lines up the next move like it's just part of the routine. The crowd is floored. Chaining 4 parries like that doesn't look like just reflexes. Then the chat fully loses it, and he faces the enemy like someone about to reveal everything. Without giving an inch, he corners the opponent and sets up the finishing strike. No chance to defend. He ends it with the sword, fast and straight. The look in his eyes says it all. The hunt just started, and he stays locked in. Stepping on the digital remains, he counts 6 opponents down, doesn't even blink. On the stream, people ask how a beginner plays like this, and he gives nothing away. The chat keeps asking the same thing. Actually, a beginner? The numbers don't add up. The crowd goes off over the performance, and he just watches the chaos in silence. The feed turns into a frenzy, and he keeps the mystery going, like someone who knows everything. Out of nowhere, a hater rolls in talking noise and asking for a ban just to get attention. The hater keeps pushing. A ban doesn't scare anyone, just looking for a stage. In a flash, the ban drops. He says it's handled and moves on. The chat erupts over the instant ban, even complimenting how he runs the stream. The crowd says with that talent he's gonna blow up fast. This was just the beginning. Then people double down, he's about to pop off, and whoever doubted will regret it. Even so, he stays focused, remembering how pride and status held him back in the past. His gaze goes distant, replaying the grind and how pride made him pay for it. This time he decides he won't repeat the mistake. He'll use skill as the weapon. But the chat cuts through the moment, flooding the screen and telling him to stop stalling. The roasting intensifies. They try to throw him off without letting up for a second. Even so, he keeps a straight face, tossing out a basic dodge like it's nothing. Expression closed off, he ignores the pile of messages demanding action. The chat spirals, demanding a response, the screen scrolling way too fast. Then he drops a thumbs up, smiling like someone in complete control. The crowd goes off and pushes for more, but he doesn't flinch, completely relaxed. In the middle of it, the chat calls for a fight, and he stays at peace, not caring. But the situation closes in. He's surrounded by a whole squad ready to strike. The chat keeps it real. Going up against a Tor and an entire army sounds like a terrible idea. Then they call it impossible. But he opens a slow smile, ready to go anyway. While the chat panics, he smiles like it's just another day. Same energy. He holds the smile, ready to prove that impossible is relative. The chaos erupts and people rush down the staircase, the atmosphere getting heavy. Everyone scrambles down in a hurry, and he actually seems pumped about the challenge. Not even trying to be quiet, he charges forward and drops guards before they can react. Same vibe. He pushes forward and turns the guards into into digital smoke. Guards fly upward, and he just gets ready, watching like someone who's seen it all before. Meanwhile, a player who's been hiding for hours shows up, becoming the joke of the chat. The chat goes off. Does he have eyes in the back of his head? Because the gameplay is something else. People even start talking about betting on him. Things have gotten that unreal. As far as they're concerned, even a pro player couldn't pull off that technique so easily. On reflex, he blocks knights like it's nothing. Nobody's making him work for it. Stepping forward with confidence, he advances without fear, and the chat loses it over the channel's level. The energy peaks. He drives the sword in, holds the pressure, and gives no room to breathe. The chat won't stop scrolling, calling him a legend while he blocks on pure reflex. With knights falling easily, the stream becomes a must-watch for everyone. A look of superiority comes out of him, and the chat asks if they even deserve to see this. In the chaos, someone accuses him of hacking because he can't stay still at that speed. Taewoo freezes at the monitor, eyes wide, not believing what he just saw. The boy stares at the screen, trying to process what he just pulled off. Meanwhile, the stream buzzes like a live concert for a top artist. In the lab, he and Jihai light up. The difficulty went up and made it even more exciting. Even with game over on the screen, the drive to take on challenges just keeps growing. But the game locks in the game over, making it clear that round is done. Then, mission complete lights up. He secured the win the most raw way possible. The chat is stunned. He pushes back into the challenge and even throws in a stick of dynamite. The crowd roasts. 3 hours on the same mission, telling him to do some research. After chasing streams from one streamer to the next, he slumps onto the desk, worn out. With so much time going wrong, he's drained at the computer, nothing left in the tank. But now it flips. His talent finally shows itself for everyone to see. In a snap, the despair is gone, replaced by shock at the victory on the screen. No stealth plan. He drops into combat and settles everything with the blade. Closing his fist, he gets ready to take down whoever steps in front of him. The chat explodes, calling him a legend, while rivals fall without understanding what hit them. The crowd is amazed by the technique, watching enemies go down in the blink of an eye. In the chat, nobody can believe the skill he's showing live. Then the suspicion starts. Is it hacks? Because of how effortlessly he runs things. The hack talk grows, with viewers asking how any of this is even possible. The feed turns into a debate. Hack or just wild talent? Because the level is surreal. He just shrugs, like he's saying you guys are overreacting. While the chat keeps pushing the hack angle, he looks at them with disdain, finding it funny. The system warns the room is getting intense, and he keeps the same unbothered look. With 6 people watching and 6 followers, he faces the camera without a care. Even with the stream sitting at 6 viewers, he treats the danger like it's absolutely nothing. The room explodes out of nowhere, but he doesn't even blink while the chaos runs wild. Without hesitation, he plants his feet, cracks the ground, and makes it clear he came serious. On pure reflex, he dodges the monster and leaves the chat in complete shock. On top of that, he jokes in the chat, "Can you even block a club that big?" The crowd laughs, saying blocking something like that is madness. But his reflexes are on another level. The boss roars and comes in spinning a spiked club, trying to flatten everything in sight. The chat flinches at the noise, but he pushes forward, focused on finishing this fast. Not caring about the risk, he closes the gap, committed to settling it on reflex. In one precise cut, he crosses the path before the club hits the ground. Keeping full speed, he repeats the surgical strike without leaving any room to counter. The boss is caught off guard and lets out a strange smile, sensing he found a real rival. Right after, the boss keeps that smile and looks at him like, now it's getting serious. Eyes locked in, he focuses completely, ready to shut this down. Without flinching, he faces the boss with disdain, and the chat is stunned by the boldness. In the chat, nobody believes it. He wants to finish this in a single strike? The boss laughs and comes in spinning the club, bringing it down to crush. The club hits the ground, and he dodges on reflex, not even blinking. Without losing focus, he slips away precisely, and the chat collapses watching it. The crowd shouts on screen, dodging like that is practically humiliating the boss. The boss doesn't even register it, and he handles everything without breaking a sweat. The chat feels the tension. The chat reminds everyone of the timer. Either he wins in 5 minutes or the mission ends. In an instant, he rushes forward and connects a strike to the boss's face. Didn't even see it coming. 3 minutes left, the club comes down, and he dodges like it's effortless. Using the structure, he launches off it and lands another precise hit. The chat spams, "Just hit the weak point." He gets it and gets fired up. Right then, he decides to test it, putting everything into that one weak spot in the armor. With the clock running, he takes a breath and pushes forward with no margin for error. Without stalling, he goes at the boss again, testing if the chat's tip actually works. The boss doesn't see it coming. He takes the opening and chain strikes at the right rhythm. The look says total focus. He adjusts the aim to finish in under 4 minutes. The clock tightens, and the chat keeps pushing strategy without letting up. The chat insists outposts hit the same spot to multiply the damage. Panel open. He calculates the next move before going in again. In a red flash, he brings the sword down and marks the ground with full force. Without hesitation, he lands another hit and rips 70 HP away in one shot. The damage lands clean. Another 70 HP gone fast, and the boss can't react. The boss's health melts. Jome was right, and the situation is getting critical. The chat explodes watching the bar drop. Targeting the weak point was the right call. The pressure builds. Time is falling, and he knows he needs to close this out now. But the clock doesn't forgive. Every second starts to count like gold. Staying calm, he aims at the right spot to finish before the timer hits 0. With time draining away, he locks the club in a sharp block. Ice-cold composure. Running low on time, he grabs the club with force and decides to end it for good. The boss tries to land a final crushing blow, but he holds the impact without blinking. Instead of stepping back, he locks it with his bare hands, holding on pure strength. With the clock dropping, he keeps the lock on the attack, firm, not giving an inch. The boss, filled with rage, lands a clean hit, and his HP drops. Even taking heavy damage, he pushes forward and hits back, sending the boss's HP into freefall. One precise connection pulls 300 HP from the giant clean. He skips stealth entirely and keeps the pressure on, making everything on screen feel surreal. In the chat, the question explodes. How is he still standing? Eyes locked, he sees the giant's health hasn't hit 0, way too much resistance. Time is closing in, 51 seconds left, and now it's all or nothing. The situation is intimidating, but he doesn't hesitate, ready to face the ending. In one swift cut, he finishes off the monster and wipes that smug look off the boss. The timer runs and he appears worn from the fight, holding the tension at its limit. With time almost gone, he secures the win and closes the mission. The screen confirms mission completed, and he proved exactly what level he's at. Without wasting a second, he's already clicking again, focused on dominating the game. In the tutorial, he's already taken down 13 enemies. While everyone else goes stealth, he bulldozes through. The clip shows him steamrolling the tutorial, making slow players look like they're standing still. And that's where it gets crazy. First, verified clear of Itor goes viral and the internet ignites. While the world talks about it, he goes back to his room, alone, preparing the next move. Hand on the mouse, he still trembles slightly, not quite believing what he pulled off. On screen, he stares at the viral clip, processing that he actually blew up online. The buzz just keeps growing, and the clip takes over every community forum. The crowd debates, did they nerf the boss, or is this guy just on another level? People shout, this is a tutorial, and the 33rd player gets called to the arena. The title says it all, only 2 hours in, and he's already become a topic. The screen shows the impact of the strike on the environment, proving he's not playing around. The clip spreads, showing the aftermath of the duel, and him trying to stay on his feet. The rival appears badly beaten and screaming, showing he didn't hold back at all. Back on him, the look says everything. Now things are about to get real. The chat goes off when he summons magic circles, locking the opponent in with no way out. A skill explodes and the screen turns to fire and smoke. The opponent is erased from the map. He ignores the chaos and sets up the counter, even with everything exploding around him. Under pressure, he pushes forward and the ground splits. Combat at full intensity. The hunt for the assassin becomes top priority, and he faces the risk without backing down. The tension climbs, the adrenaline kicks in, and he keeps his focus sharp on the danger. Under the red moon, he pushes forward without subtlety, facing everything head-on. The forest goes pitch black, and he shoots into it, breathing getting heavier. Running through the dark, he feels danger closing in, no time to slow down. Out of nowhere, an attack cuts through the air and he realizes things just got serious. In a flash, another cut comes through, and the surprise grows. No time to react. He takes a hit and feels the danger right on top of him. The strike lands hard and he understands the situation just went completely off the rails. On instinct, he activates a skill toward the mountain peak, trying to create some distance. Even with a strike barely missing, he responds with skill, eyes fixed on the high ground. But a surge appears, and he faces the destruction coming in hard. The water crashes down and swallows the scene, leaving things heavy. Between mountains, the landscape goes silent, and he goes down at the riverbank. The impact drops him at the edge, and the water washes away the dust of the fight. He lies there, injured hand in the water, while the current flows on in silence. Firm footsteps break the silence. Someone approaches and he doesn't react. A mysterious figure walks up from behind and watches him lying there. Stepping out of the shadows, the stranger stops and searches for a valuable item near him. With a calm smile, the stranger holds up a glowing eagle emblem in their hand. Right after, they display the emblem again, like the game is about to turn. The screen shifts and the game signals that control is back with the main character. The cutscene won't move forward, and the frustration hits. Same scene, no break. The game locks it in. Dane always falls. He makes a tired face at the rough run. With disdain, he mutters, "What a waste," and the chat cracks up. While the chat laughs, he folds his hands, full of confidence, no effort needed. Keeping his cool, he holds the pose like someone ready for anything. Out of nowhere, the system says, "Head to the tavern and find Christina." He finds that strange. The order comes again, "Go to the tavern and find Christina." He processes the mission. With a smug smile, he types the name and sends it. The game is about to meet no name. Arriving at the tavern, he faces the entrance and goes looking for Christina. Walking into the hall, he moves calmly, tuning out the noise from the crowd inside. Strong presence as he passes through, and no one even notices someone dangerous just walked in. In his view, Christina is there, focused on her drink, no idea who just showed up. While the bar buzzes, he moves closer, and she stays in her own world. She seems distant, and he reads the atmosphere, taking in the whole tavern. Getting closer, he flashes a quiet smirk, way too relaxed. That smirk says it all. The conversation just started, and the game could flip at any moment. His face shows exhaustion, like someone who's tired of loading back into the game again. Christina reaches out and hands him a golden eagle amulet, tension in the air. Receiving it, he freezes, eyes wide, sensing there's a revelation in there. Again, he gets stuck on the amulet, stunned by what it might mean. She holds a serious, intense look, like she already knows what's coming. In the tavern atmosphere, he talks with her, casually holding a small item. His expression shifts immediately. What he sees leaves him frozen. Christina stares him down, a seriousness that weighs heavy on the room. The tavern cools when she says she knows he takes any job for the right price. Straight to the point, she repeats, "Mercenary for coin," and that explains a lot. He brushes off the judgment and keeps his posture locked on the objective. She closes her eyes and opens up about his choices. The mood gets heavy. With an indifferent look, he doesn't budge, like he was waiting for the next question. The moment arrives, the system asks for a name, and the chat wants to know if it's Jin Seo-jun. Time to name the character. The chat keeps pushing to find out if Jin Seo-jun is real. In the chat, the curiosity is off the charts, and he stays cool, eyes only on the system. He sets the stream name as Jin Seo-jun, making it the official channel. The crowd asks if that's his real name, but he just locks it in and moves on. He looks at the chat usernames and finds them genuinely baffling. A side smile appears. The next step is already mapped out in his head. Not paying attention to the weird usernames, he keeps the smirk going and sticks to the plan. The crowd roasts the name, asking how anyone chooses to go by no name. In the chat, the jokes pile on, laughing at the zero creativity of the nickname. They keep clowning without stopping, and he just holds the no-name pose. The criticism keeps coming, but he confirms no name anyway, no drama. Not giving the mockery any stage, he locks it in on screen and steps fully into the game world. Now it gets serious. Assassination contracts start being posted at the Sun Tavern. Christina reappears, mysterious, ready to hand out the first missions. Eagle relic in hand, she delivers the mission directly, no small talk. She appears drained, holding the ancient object like she's seen something heavy. In the chat, people get emotional, saying her heart is completely broken. Looking down, she brings the item close carefully, and the chat senses something big is coming. Without hesitation, she holds out a mourning brooch, and the atmosphere gets heavy. Right then, he goes serious. Looking at the item like he just understood, it runs deeper. She holds that mysterious gaze, like she's reading his mind. In the cut, he appears at the entrance, still with shadow hiding what he's thinking. He closes his eyes and settles it. The nickname will be Nameless. End of discussion. Without stalling, he repeats, from now on, his in-game name is Nameless. Same energy, he reinforces it. It's Nameless, and he doesn't care what anyone calls him. The stream goes wild. Nameless fits an assassin perfectly, and the chat is hyped. The day wraps up, the sunset colors everything, and the chat sends off the debut. The farewell turns into a party, with public restroom brick thief dropping a good luck on the debut. A little awkward, he ends the stream with a half-embarrassed smile. Still getting used to the interface, he explores the panel a bit lost. Face a little red, he closes the stream and digs through the panel, catching all the roasts. The chat is on fire, calling him a noob, while he tries to make sense of the screen. Fully embarrassed, he ends it and stares at the panel, crowd going off the whole time. The stream closes at 6 people, and he thinks this generation is something else. He watches the mess and laughs it off, finding the whole thing a bit much. With name suggestions flooding in, he just sits there analyzing quietly. Out of nowhere, a notification pops. Is this the famous warrior stream? He finds that weird. The stream ends and he stares at the screen, a bit lost. The broadcast drops unexpectedly. The chat floods and he tries to figure out what happened. He keeps processing, stunned by how big his name just got. On the forum, he sees people losing their minds over the performance. He became a legend overnight. Lay back, he checks the phone and smiles, like someone who already knew. But Taewoo bursts in yelling and knocks the phone out of his hand. Total shock. Barging in, like he owns the room, Taewoo startles him, nearly sending him off the bed. A little red-faced, he watches Taewoo shove the phone in his face, demanding an explanation. Even with the stream off, people keep commenting and losing their minds over the gameplay. He freezes, reading the buzz on the phone, not believing any of it. On the couch, he stares at the screen, and Taewoo finally gets how big this turned out. He takes it in. His clip of wiping out mobs in the tutorial is making the rounds everywhere. The post spreads. 13 enemies dropped on pure reflex, and he doesn't even realize the situation he's in. Taewoo shows him the viral video, hyped up, and he just tries to understand why it became a thing. Pointing at the screen, Taewoo watches the crowd fight over whether it's fake or not. The comments turn into a war, debating edits, AI, and everything else all at once. He makes a confused face, not understanding the chaos in the comments at all. Taewoo, stunned, holds up the phone while people go at it hard in the chat. With a wide smile, he already feels it. The channel is about to blow up off this content. Taewoo is completely drained but still drops a sarcastic, "Nice one, pro." He throws himself onto the bed and gets glued to the phone, watching the buzz grow. Taking it all in, he realizes the tutorial finally brought the recognition he'd been missing. He stays stuck on the viral clip, watching the respect come in strong. Notifications keep coming, and he feels the fame knocking at the door. Sunlight hits the front of the building, and the internet is still talking about the nameless play. He reads the posts, the community is split, and the topic just keeps climbing. Comments keep popping up, some doubtful, others saying Nameless's damage output is just wrong. He checks the monitor, not believing the growth, just like Taewoo predicted. On screen, he sees a debate about the new level 10 AI and how much it's frustrating everyone. A viral post tries to explain why the level 10 AI is so hard to deal with, and it cites Nameless. People are hunting for whoever's behind the AI, and his clip only adds fuel to the fire. He watches all of it with a "how is this happening" face, watching the internet spiral. The mood shifts when the champion appears right in front of him, standing still, waiting for the first move. The blue visor glows. He draws the blade and gets ready to face the legend. Going on the offensive, he catches the opponent completely off guard with the speed. The champion taunts, asking if he's scared, and the challenge becomes official. In the chat, nobody can believe his personality. The general take is, this guy is out of his mind. He looks uncomfortable, stunned by how far the situation has gone. With a look of pure disappointment, he reacts like a real-life dislike button, full disbelief. He looks at the screen. The chat is brutal, piling on without stopping. In the chat, they call him a nobody and tell people to stop mentioning his name. The crowd realizes it wasn't fake and floods into the stream of the tutorial monster. With a calm look, he says he didn't need any tricks to get past the veterans. The chat switches sides and admits he ran through the tutorial on raw skill, no scheme. Inside the VR capsule, he adjusts the controls while the chat loses it over the skill. Not giving it much thought, he gets into the capsule and finishes the adjustments for the real game. Closing his eyes, he focuses completely, like someone who already knows what's coming. Fully locked in, he enters the game, and light takes over the scene. The system glows, the connection closes, and now there's no turning back. He appears as a chibi avatar, and his profile on the platform takes shape, follower count climbing. He enters the system a bit confused, and the chat goes off over the debut. With a confident smirk, he adjusts the stream while the chat starts to heat up. The moment arrives, he hits start, and the broadcast goes live for everyone. The chat ignites. The official stream of Dawn of the Assassination Squad is live. The screen lights up, and the game's title appears, Dawn of the Assassination Squad. The city of Alteon comes into view, and the visuals alone show this journey is going to be massive. The camera zooms in on the Aetherius Spire, heart of the Royal District, impossibly tall. The Aetherius Spire dominates the sky, and the scale alone makes clear how big this game is. Now the focus shifts to the Golden District, where danger lives in the shadows. The scene cuts to a stained dagger, a warning that the calm is over. Right then, he seems to have arrived at exactly the right place, posture of someone who knows what they're doing. Out of nowhere, he makes a "wait, what" face, like he just saw something unbelievable. Right after, the system says hello, and he gets into the zone, ready to run everything. With a quiet laugh, he cuts through the debate, and the chat goes wild. No more back and forth. He shuts the conversation down hard, leaving everyone with nothing to say. His eyes light up. The next plan is already set, and nothing's stopping it. The audience warns in the chat, telling everyone not to try this at home. The chat turns into mayhem. The roasting is relentless, and nobody knows what's happening anymore. The crowd complains about the tutorial, saying they wasted their money on it. The roasting gets harder, and the chat sends a message: don't follow his example. With a calculating look, he zeroes in on the right spot, wanting to see the damage. No hesitation, he targets Ettari's weak point and lands a precise, critical hit. The chat mocks that he shouldn't even be there, and he just focuses on figuring out Ettari. A 1,001 donation pops up, and the crowd goes off. He just processes it. Seeing his own confused face, he gets it. Even the best needs a second to take things in. Ignoring the chat, he stays on the screen, reading comments and getting ready. With over 300 people watching, the chat climbs, and nobody knows what comes next. He puts on a got it look, fixed on the interface, completely focused. The chat is buzzing, and he maps every step without blinking before making a move. The crowd asks if he's finally going to show what he's made of. Everyone wants the final proof. He stays relaxed and drops a ho-ho, watching the chat vibe together. The game opens up options, missions, pickpocketing, or exploring. He just scans. He takes it all in with a composed look, and that little smirk hints at incoming chaos. A side smirk appears, and he decides how he's going to run things from here on out. In the middle of the crowd, he stops with attitude, already plotting the next move. The market is packed, vendors pushing all kinds of stuff, and he tunes out every pitch. Out of nowhere, a stumbling drunk bumps into him looking for trouble. Picked the wrong target. The drunk tries to act tough, swings at him, and loses instantly. The guy keeps pushing, all attitude, and he stays completely still, ignoring it entirely. The drunk grumbles and stumbles away, but he just keeps walking, not wasting a second. Adjusting his hood, he keeps the mystery up and reads the environment with calm. With a cynical smile, he shows off the loot, playing way too well to be passing as a beginner. The chat pushes back. Did this turn into a thief stream, or is this still warrior style? One fan stands up for him, saying he looks like he walked straight out of Marim. But guards show up and he takes off running, still cracking jokes about the situation. Cash in hand, he stays relaxed, thinking it'll last a good while. The chat goes off, saying he's set for life with that money now. Checking the loot, he stops when he senses someone coming out of nowhere. He notices two strangers with a guild emblem, and the mood gets heavy. Without a word, he glances over his shoulder and stares down the two bold ones. The guys walk over looking for a problem, and he already knows what they want. One of them throws an arm around his neck, way too comfortable, and he just looks sideways. No patience. He doesn't play along, just holds up the item in his hand as his answer. When the guy tries to tighten up, the stream pauses, and the chat completely loses it. The chat talks about the freedom in the game and tells him to just handle it, no mercy. Under pressure, he blocks it with ease, and the chat is stunned by the precision. Then the guy's emblem comes into view, making it clear the goal is to take down the gang. The chat locks in the mission, take out the boss, and clean up the market. Pulling on his gloves, he smirks and decides, time to shut this down. The chat doubts it, bringing up the disassemblers and saying they'll pay to see how this goes. One subscriber plays know-it-all, asking if he even knows who the disassemblers are. He brushes off the conversation and makes a huh face, gripping the weapon, ready for whatever comes next. Alright, showtime. He kicks things off and heads to the nearby sinister mansion. The camera reveals the mansion, and it's clear the tutorial here is no joke. Sword in hand, he faces the place and gets ready to clear everything out from the inside. Not wasting a second, he snuffs out a candle to plunge everything into darkness and get the edge. Crouched and tense, he hides and reads the terrain like someone who just saw a ghost. Slipping through the candelabras, he calculates every step so nobody notices. The wax melts slowly, and the darkness swallows the place. The atmosphere gets heavy. Then a hot drop of wax falls on the target's forehead and gives away that someone's up above. Right away, the guy spins around startled, realizing he's being watched from above. With a cold smile, he breaks the silence with the blade and decides to finish it right there. But the system locks in a game over, and the attempt ends without warning. Outside, he walks down the street with heavy steps, drained from so many resets. A little red-faced, he reads the chat roasting him for the fourth consecutive fall. Beaten down by the losses, he just takes the chat, saying the leaders are way too tough. And the chat reinforces those rulers are practically unstoppable. Difficulty on a whole other level. On the map, a sinister fortress appears, the headquarters where they control everything. A queen shows up wearing a jewel-covered crown, making it clear the problem only gets bigger. Then another leader appears channeling a dark blue energy, seriously threatening. Right after, the faction head moves chess pieces around like he controls the whole board. To close it out, the big boss appears on the throne with the look of someone who runs the entire place. Zooming into the map, it becomes clear the target could be at several different points in there. Without stalling, he closes the deal at the counter and picks up the disassembled Scrambler's secret map. Opening the holographic panel, he studies the layout and already knows where the target might be. A golden icon glows marking the troop, and he understands he's going to have to search everywhere. Freezing on the screen, he sees the chat telling him to drop stealth and go straight in. The crowd asks why he's struggling so much. They've seen people clear it on pure punches alone. Confused, he questions the chat, because every mistake in there feels like an instant fall. Crazy Mud keeps pushing, and another one fires back. He should have just checked the community page. Reading the messages, he sees Alpaca completely losing it, and can barely believe it. With a side smirk, he takes a quick look at what people are saying about the wild play, and then the screen lights up with a sleer, like he just finished it while ignoring all logic. A 10,000 won donation comes in asking if he stands behind what he said. In the chat, laughter takes over, and he's left with nothing but a question mark on his face. Right then, the roasting kicks off, people asking if Alpaca is actually scared. Almost immediately they call Alpaca's attitude pathetic. No mercy at all. Not getting the chaos. He holds back a laugh while the chat completely loses it. Another donation drops out of nowhere and he's stunned by the twist. Right as the bat, he throws a heavy strike and shatters everything around him, clearing space. Down the stairs, the guys come running, armed, trying to close in on him. Same rush. More people descend with everything they've got, trying to reach him at any cost. Smirking, he adjusts and gets into position, ready to sweep through everyone. Only 30 minutes left before Alpaca has to pay to watch and kick off the decisive stream. Then he moves through the alley with the group, firm steps, like someone who already knows the ending. In the alley, he keeps moving, surrounded by 4 guards, way too calm for the size of the situation. Further ahead, he walks with 2 guards right on him, like the field belongs to him. Following the 2 guys, he sees the chat asking how he plans to get information without any reputation. From the chat, the warning comes, without reputation, he won't get anything out of Drake without a side quest. Unbothered, he asks if this faction is really that hard to deal with. And the crowd reacts. He's making a "wait, seriously?" face, asking why this is such a big deal. In the comments, there's a general wave of laughing, reminding everyone he didn't even know what a parry was. He drops a simple oops, staring at the screen with the most blank expression. The chat goes in on him and he stays in disbelief, not seeing why this faction is such a massive deal. To make it worse, they keep roasting the parry thing, and he just watches, not getting the fuss. Cold eyes on the screen, he blocks out the noise and focuses only on what's happening. Cool as ever, he reads the crowd saying this mission is impossible without getting wiped out. Not paying the chat any attention, he just absorbs the comments saying nobody gets out of there alive. With a side smirk, he acts like he already has the next step figured out. On the other side, the guys face him with a smug look, ready to clown the newbie. Slowly surrounding him, they put on threatening faces, but he doesn't feel any pressure. Full boredom on his face, he makes it clear they are way underestimating him. One of them walks up, nudges his shoulder, and asks why they'd ever tell him anything. Without blinking, he ignores the mockery and lets the guys talk to themselves. Zero patience. He stares with deep boredom, holding back the irritation. Just a questioning look comes from him, like none of this makes any sense. Smug smirk on his face, he taunts while the tension keeps building. Fist closed, he runs out of patience, and you can feel it's about to land on them. Again, he faces them with disdain, ready to take everyone down if it comes to that. The guys are thrown off by his posture and the air gets heavy. Then they all come at once, knives out, thinking they're going to take control. In one sharp cut, he clears a path and leaves everyone stunned by the speed. Under pressure, he drops one of them fast. No room to respond. Trying to close in with daggers, they push forward, but he responds without hesitation. One of them comes in dirty, dagger ready, and the confrontation becomes unavoidable. But he disarms in one clean motion, and the stream explodes over the precision. On reflex, he blocks the strike with his own arm, way too fast for the guy to process. Going on the offensive, he gives no space, and the enemy freezes at the response. Without holding back, he cuts off the guy's advance, and doesn't leave even a second to react. And he deflects another attack clean, leaving the rival watching the loss come straight at him. Another enemy comes in heavy, sword ready to apply pressure, thinking this is their moment. In the chat, everyone freezes watching the guy take a hit and not understand a thing. The opponent is left with no reaction, trying to process that he was outclassed that fast. Full focus on the target, his eyes lock the enemy down and the guy goes stiff with fear. No chance, he parries the strike clean, and the other one just freezes. No words, he takes them down, one by one with that same cold stare as always. Then he clears the area and leaves everyone on the ground, with the pose of someone who doesn't care. Smirking, he watches the opponent start to panic while he stays completely calm. Pausing for a moment, he maps the terrain, ready for whatever comes next. Eyes on the danger. He keeps that sharp look and waits for the next opening. Accelerating out of nowhere, he draws the blade and attacks before anyone can respond. Even so, he faces the incoming strike and already preps the counter, feeling the tension climb. but the situation flips, and he ends up with a dagger in hand, not quite sure how. He moves forward and freezes the opponent in an instant without letting the guy say a word. Locked up, he stands there staring at the dagger in his hand, not saying anything. Worse, the blade touches his neck, and the chat laughs, calling it torture. The crowd reacts to the beatdown and goes over the top with the nickname, while he keeps going. On impact, a metallic clang echoes as he blocks with pure force, no effort at all. And the chat highlights the humiliation, like a beginner getting a forced lesson the hard way. While he holds his posture, the poor guy on the ground almost collapses, and the chat gets hyped. In the chat, people start calling him a demon for making it look this easy. Then someone donates just to roast Ator for getting beaten by someone this relaxed. Pretending it has nothing to do with him, he looks away and lets the tension build. Completely unbothered, he spins the dagger through his fingers like it's a toy. Twirling the blade, he glances around like there's no boss standing right behind him. Wide smile on his face, he moves like someone who already saw the ending and just wants to wrap it up. Without looking back, he fires off a precise strike and launches himself over the crowd. Following up, he pushes through the middle of everyone, and the atmosphere fully closes in. With one short, precise move, he makes the damage happen before anyone can react. In a single strike, he sweeps the enemies in front. Precision that doesn't make sense. The impact hits hard, and he immediately follows up on the target. Red effect flashing on screen. To close it out, he finishes the last one and leaves the path clear, nobody left standing. After that, he just walks through the fallen, while the last one goes down in the background. The club cuts through the air and the damage shows on screen. More red effects. He stops there, with the look of someone who doesn't care at all about the chaos he caused. And he drops a dry comment, moving on like nothing happened. Casually, he throws out a taunt. Is that all there was? Then a bright flash takes over everything, signaling that his secret technique just activated. Cold eyes locked in, he stops the strike right at the tip of the blade, like it's a joke. In the stream chat, everyone loses it, calling him a demon for handling it so directly. Meanwhile, the crowd is in shock over his reflexes, not even blinking. Without flinching, he faces the incoming rain of blades head on, and the chat freezes right along with him. Suddenly, dozens of sharp blades rain down on the kid. Eyes locked and fully focused, he gets ready to counter the incoming strike. Gripping his weapon tight, he's ready to draw. With one smooth motion, he slices the air as the blades just barely miss him. Bright sparks light up the exact moment he deflects every single one, leaving everyone in the chat speechless. Someone chimes in saying that wasn't half bad. A sinister smile appears as the boss streak shows his face. Challenging our MC with pure arrogance, he asks if he can parry this next move. Right then, he unleashes a massive shower of dark daggers. In the blink of an eye, a storm of sharp edges cuts through the room. Facing a horde, the MC readies his weapon. He spins his spear at top speed, creating a flawless circular shield. Using a precise swing, he parries multiple daggers at once. The heavy impact sends them flying away, crashing into walls all over the place. Narrowly missing, a projectile grazes the boss's face, leaving a tiny scratch. Our guy gives a smirk, proving that even aerial attacks are a breeze. Meanwhile, the chat is asking what this dude can't parry. Keeping a confident grin, the boss asks for our MC's name. He casually answers back, calling himself Nameless. Praising the title, the enemy claims he only respects the strong, and that's where it gets crazy. Bladed chains suddenly appear. Now, he draws his blades and announces he's going all out. The chains rip through the air at blazing speed. With perfect timing, our MC manages to deflect a hit. However, these chains can actually move on their own. One chain shoots forward, whizzing past him. Our boy successfully blocks the attack once again. Using smooth footwork, he keeps himself safe. He steps back, trying to build some distance. Thinking this would be easier than the last boss since he uses daggers, he quickly realizes he was wrong. It becomes clear that these new weapons are the real problem. Analyzing the setup, he notices the devs really went hard on the combat mechanics. Viewers in the chat debate if this heavy combat focus is on purpose. A sly grin crosses the boss's face as he asks if he's stepping up. Spotting an opening, he leaps right in, declaring he's taking the lead. In a direct clash, the blades cross and spark. He blocks the strike with flawless precision. One of the chains tries a sneak attack, but our MC dodges just in time. Relying on quick reflexes, he guards against the hits as the enemy pushes forward. While the fight rages on, the chat goes wild over his cracked defense and mocking attitude. Comparing the difficulty, he admits this is way harder than taking on 13 guys. But beating all odds, he actually survived that massive wave of blades. Because of that, chat, he knows exactly how to stay in the game. Determined, the MC charges forward to close the gap and catch his opponent off guard. Staring him down, the boss warns he won't give an inch. A quick flash pierces right through the enemy, hitting his mark. The screen flashes a hit notification. Our guy finally lands a clean strike on the boss. Stunned by the parry, the enemy is left wide open. Looking closely, he realizes a parry takes out normal mobs, but against Drake, it only earns him one hit. Those chains just keep spinning around him, blocking any direct attacks. Then, a sarcastic smirk creeps onto his face. Tightening his grip, he prepares to strike the right way this time. He closes his eyes. Firmly, he plants his feet into the ground. Channeling all his energy, he shifts power from his solid stance. That drops him right into a high guard stance. Raising the blade above his head, he launches the attack with everything he's got. With a fierce look, he brings the pipe down in a bright flash. Surrounded by that aura, the MC delivers the heavy blow. The strike lands dead center on top of the boss's head, and no one saw that coming. The clash unleashes a pink shockwave that sweeps the whole area in a flash. Jack goes entirely wild over the massive damage. Adjusting his hold on the crowbar, he realizes that even in a virtual world, his doubts about his body don't matter anymore. Right away, the system projects a holographic map under his feet to perfect his footwork. By tracking his core rotation, the system shows him how to optimize every single move. It even traces the exact path his arms need to follow. Guided by these adjustments, he learns that perfect form bypasses any physical limits. Out of nowhere, the chains strike back. He dodges with a clean, precise step. Furious, the boss points a finger and swears he's gonna wipe him out. The chains rush straight toward the MC. Going on the offensive, he hooks the chains with his crowbar. He dashes forward with serious speed, and with one swing, he tosses the chains away. They completely shatter into pieces. Taking a heavy step, he stomps the ground. Then he attacks the boss all over again. A smile crosses his face as he remembers the feeling of swinging a sword, calling this his true test. Suddenly, a massive flash takes over, marking the violent clash of their weapons. Two blades stick right into the ground. Our MC stares down the boss, raising his weapon for the final blow. A pillar of energy erupts, wrapping completely around him. Left on the cracked floor, the boss finally sees his HP hit 0. The system notification pops up confirming the win and dropping the first fragment. Meanwhile, the chat is losing their minds, treating the MC like a god. Out of the blue, a viewer drops 100,000 won celebrating the hero of the match. Viewer count spikes straight up to 447. Shocked by the massive turnout, the MC just freezes, staring quietly at the blue interface in front of him. He takes in every detail. A bright blush suddenly spreads across his face. He remembers a veteran streamer lecturing him about staying humble on camera, even trying to play it cool. He can't hide that goofy smile, rocking a little smirk and bright red cheeks. It's obvious he's loving the hype. Now, the chat is hyping up the first clear, joking that he's built different. At that moment, a donator named Spoon Murderer drops 10,000 won, making fun of the pipe. Another donation rolls in from Patient on a White Horse, also laughing at his weapon choice. Viewers start arguing about how he tanked that hit even without the damage buff. With a slightly tired voice, he gives a shout out for the financial support. But before moving on, he drops that classic question. Glancing around the wrecked hull, he jokes about the guards being nowhere in sight. Someone in chat takes the bait, calling out the guards and comparing their absence to webtoon logic. Realizing that stealing always brings trouble, our guy decides it's time to bounce. The setting sun paints the sky in bright colors. He takes a chill walk down the streets. Suddenly, a voice calls out his name. A mysterious cloaked figure steps up, blocking his path. Stopping in his tracks, he turns and drops a confused "Who is it?" With a smooth motion, the stranger grabs their hood. Christina reveals her face, talking about Drake's defeat with an intense look. She extends her hand, tossing him a heavy bag as thanks for stopping the oppression. Keeping a serious expression, she wraps it up with a thank you and confirms the payment. Upon getting the coins, system notifications pop up confirming his new gold and prestige. Even though he failed the quest, he bags the reward and ignores the viewers. Chat is busy roasting the fallen boss. She kills the mood by asking where he's headed, but he's just not having it. Flashing a mocking smile, she lets out a quick now. She says her goodbyes with a mysterious vibe, promising they'll meet again. The MC watches the girl walk away down the city street. He takes a sharp look around, ready to keep moving. Noticing the wreckage, chat starts doubting the quest's success, but he completely tunes them out. People in the comments start arguing over the phrasing, throwing shade at each other. They praise the MC's sheer audacity as he thinks about ending the stream. Wasting no time, he actually cuts the feed, leaving the chat in full panic. The viewers refuse to accept it, begging him to keep playing. And with one last wave, he just kills the broadcast, leaving everyone crying about it. After a quick goodbye on screen, screen, the connection drops, and the light fades. Once that's done, our boy finally climbs out of the pod, stretching his tired body. Meanwhile, his buddy is laying on the bed, glued to his phone. Our MC confronts the guy, asking what he's even doing there. Super chill. His friend mentions he was just watching the live. Fighting back, the MC locks him in a rear naked choke, forcing him off the bed. Things calm down, and our guy curiously asks how the stream actually did. Checking the phone, his buddy points out that despite having 440 viewers, the vibe was crazy. In a flash, the MC snatches the phone away, making his friend yell out for it. He goes ahead and taps the video, reacting to the clip where he was interrogating one of the goons. The screen shows everyone debating about him and that mysterious fragment. Scrolling through the messages, he spots players dropping theories on a secret ending and the challenge requirements. He scans the updates but notices there's zero info on the fragment of order. Thinking about how hard the fight was, he wonders what the item even does. A toxic comment pops up, trashing anyone who wastes time gaming. His buddy leans in and drops some truth, warning that fame always brings haters. Despite the heads up, the kid talks back with a smirk, asking if he enjoyed the spotlight. Our MC doesn't know how to act, but his friend points at the screen, reminding him over 400 people were watching. Phone in hand, his friend leaves the room. Trying to process it all, he wonders how he could blow up even more. A bright glow from the monitor catches his eye. Checking the screen, he sees the forums blowing up over his legendary run. Completely lost, he drops a very confused alpaca, and what shows up is a viral clip of some crazy gamer promising new challenges. The MC just lets out a sarcastic smirk. From his bed, the friend hears the MC shouting his name. Breaking the silence, he pops up at the door, asking if his friend knows alpaca. Then he immediately asks for a favor. The scene fully shifts to a wide open and super peaceful landscape. Frustrated, alpaca drops to the ground after taking another L in this impossible game. Meanwhile, his screen is flooded with hate and trolling, calling out his 13 fails in a row. Sitting on a hay bale, he regrets throwing away his gaming rep. He lets out a loud, "Huh?" Soon enough, Daybeki shows up, the lobby mascot gifted by his viewers. Looking at the cute creature, alpaca tries to get some comfort from the little guy, but the mascot just spits right in his face. Chat burst out laughing. Even though it's cute, alpaca can't get used to this thing walking around. His viewers roast him for lacking focus. Then some crazy fan donates 10,000 won, promising to be a servant if anyone clears it as a warrior. A notification pops up on the screen. He stops mid-motion to read the alert, thinking someone tried to trick him with a fake clip. A viral video plays, showing the MC taking down the boss Drake. Stunned, alpaca can barely process what he's watching, wondering who this guy even is, because this nameless dude, hyped up as a parry master, is right there on the screen. An alert hits the system, and he gets jump-scared when he sees the message. Caught completely off guard, he curses out loud and glares angrily at the magic envelope. The streamer refuses to believe what he's seeing. Turns out, it's a message from our guy explaining he used a friend's account to reach out. The camera cuts over to the movie South Korea headquarters. Someone is holding a cup of coffee. Eve Paimo, the big boss of movie South Korea. Keeping cool, he tries to take a sip of his drink. Someone slams the door wide open, making him spit his coffee everywhere. Paimo yells out, asking if this dude forgot how to knock, demanding to know why he's causing such a racket. The guy gives it to him straight. One of the rulers just went down. And this is where it gets good. They find out the whole thing happened through warrior play. Faced with that news, panic sets in and they freeze up, hearing Drake was the target. Even so, the other rulers don't care at all, mocking how weak Drake was. Leaning back in his chair, Paimo just mentions it was about time someone got to him. The employee asks about the fragment of order but gets shut down fast. Paimo reminds him that he was the one who built that barrier in the first place, revealing the first of 4 pieces. The item drops when you beat the rulers to a secret route. That drop comes with hard limits, making it impossible to sell or trade. Not to mention, some rulers can't even be beaten without a specific skill, but unlocking that ability takes an ungodly amount of grinding. As if that wasn't enough, the system actually locks the game after 100 hours. Browsing the web, he remembers seeing players losing their minds trying to get that unlock. They are now facing a messy dilemma that could ruin all their plans. And the drama ramps up, with him warning that anything can happen now that the streamer stopped. With a look of pure boredom, Paimo scratches his ear, until suddenly he freezes mid-motion, noticing something way off. The mood gets heavy when Paimo asks if he's watching a stream on the clock. He lets out a massive yell, threatening to dock everything from the poor guy's paycheck. Grabbing his head, the guy begs for mercy before something gets thrown at him. Completely losing it, the boss promises to settle the score during his performance review. Even so, he keeps staring at the screen, just hoping they don't have the guts to push it too far. Somewhere else, some unexpected news drops. A collaboration. Chilling Sitting on the couch, Alpaca scrolls through his phone. The streamer confirmed the broadcast with a complete newbie. Giving a dead serious look, the dark-haired guy kills his hype. Alpaca says he's not just any guest. He's gonna be introduced as the featured master, celebrating like a total madman on the spot. Meanwhile, the other guy can't believe his ears, mad that a beginner gets that kind of respect. Those words instantly kill his vibe. Alpaca asks if he wants to watch the video again. Brushing off the talk about the player, he's strictly focused on dominating the championship. Alpaca asks about lending his buddy the pod since the MC's sync rate is pretty low. Firing back in pure disbelief, the guy can't grasp how a master would have a low rate. Promising to keep an eye on the stream's fallout, he asks to be called later. Laying on his side, checking his phone, Alpaca gets super annoyed at his buddy's attitude. Eyes wide open, he realizes the MC actually won using a forbidden style. He starts wondering if the MC might be someone with bad intentions. Looking at the mess caused, he heavily regrets setting up that collab. The doorbell echoes and he jumps right off the couch fully spooked. Opening the door, he's met with a greeting that leaves him completely confused. Flashing a flawless smile, the MC introduces himself. Shocked, he notices our boy is normal and even better looking than his virtual avatar. Remembering that not too long ago, he didn't even know how to edit his character. Meanwhile, he spent hours sculpting his own down to the smallest details. Right after that, the MC's friend jumps straight into the conversation. Alpaca invites them inside as the two buddies step in asking for permission. Our MC takes a good look at the place, noticing a huge, luxurious, and super modern setup. Clearly impressed, he spots that the workspace and chill area are perfectly separated. Alpaca mentions he's gonna brew some coffee, and the MC's friend insists on helping. Using the distraction, the friend roasts him over the bet, while the other complains out of embarrassment. The sound of the door opening kills the mood, making the MC spin around instantly. The dark-haired guy appears and drops a simple hello to the visitors, introducing himself as Lee Soo-han. Sealing the meeting, they share a solid handshake. The guy openly wonders if this is some kind of power play, not pulling punches. He praises the MC's skills, but points out his sync rate is garbage. Then, acting all suspicious, he points out the newbie barely even started playing. Keeping a smile, the MC says it's a secret but admits he played in the league 7 years ago. Alpaca figures these two are just trading shots. Hit by a sudden wave of memories, he freezes up hearing about 7 years ago. Our guy then casually drops that he was silver rank back in the day. Lee asks how he got so cracked after being away for so long, challenging our boy to a quick practice match. Things heat up the second they ask why he's inviting him. Jumping in, the MC's friend mocks the idea, but Lee stands his ground. Openly mocking the protagonist, he strongly advises against any practice match. Lee doesn't even flinch, dropping a direct challenge and asking if they think he'd lose. Taking a slow bite of his snack, he warns that losing isn't even the issue, and looks at the MC. Shrugging it off, the MC keeps a super relaxed posture. Right as Dronzer, his buddy lets out a heavy sigh and begs the guy to keep things quiet. Shutting down the hype, he suggests it's better to just face the level 10 training AI. And that's where it gets crazy. They go into shock, finally realizing who the AI really is. Now they're just wondering how our MC isn't already famous. So his buddy pulls up the clip from when he absolutely bodied the AI. The clash of blades creates heavy sparks that light up the entire screen. It shows the exact moment the MC straight up shatters the AI sword. Staring at the phone, their eyes go wide and they completely freeze. Everyone starts panicking, realizing this artificial intelligence is next level. Watching the fight play out, they notice the duel is a complete mismatch. They get to the part where the MC claims the AI would need 80 years to stand a chance. Now the MC's buddy is just flexing. Lee lets out a long sigh until someone calls out to the MC. Instantly, the MC turns his head. Lee stares our boy down. Breaking the silence, he stands tall and starts laying out the new rules. Alpaca tries to jump in but gets completely shut down, and no one saw that coming. Lee bows perfectly, shouting that he's gonna serve our boy. Highly relieved, Alpaca starts laughing off his worries. Super confused by the vibe, the MC just stands there with a blank stare. Way too hyped, Lee thumps his chest and declares that anyone who plays like a god is his Hayoung. Our guy gives him a judging look, silently remembering his real age is way older. Poking fun at the whole thing, his buddy laughs and says it's really no big deal. Suddenly an object flies dead straight into the distracted guy's head. Alpaca thinks back to 7 years ago, while those two keep arguing in the background. The MC just calls his friend super annoying. Nudging Alpaca's arm, Lee grabs his attention. He reminds him the stream is starting soon, ignoring the chaos behind them. Realizing they spent way too much time talking. Deep in his own thoughts, Alpaca shakes his head, trying to clear the doubts. Holding a tissue box now, the MC calls out to the guy. All fired up, Lee points at the gaming pod, inviting his new partner to test it out. Throwing an exaggerated bow, he thanks our guy like he's an actual god. Seeing Lee's sudden personality swap is so shocking that Alpaca just freezes. The chat blows up the second Alpaca goes live, getting flooded with owlhi from hyped fans. Messages scroll down the screen fast with fans making jokes about chicken. Popping onto the camera with a huge smile, he drops his classic alhi. Leaning his face way too close to the lens, he immediately gets roasted by the chat. Complaining about the low viewer count, the chat fires right back at him. Somebody drops a comment saying they only showed up to watch him. His eyes go wide reading the sweet message. But the sender instantly ruins the mood, adding they actually just came for the clear or die run. Wasting zero time, Alpaca tosses that comment in the trash. Flashing a smile, he fires back at the chat's doubts with full confidence, building up the suspense right on camera. He tells them they're gonna pull off a devastating run on the boss. All hyped up, he strikes a dramatic pose and announces the new master. The comments go wild, asking if he actually kidnapped a pro player. The mystery box slowly starts breaking open. Under a heavy spotlight, the spot where the guest should be is completely empty. Freezing with a highly confused look, he realizes his guest straight up vanished. The chat jumps on the chance to roast this imaginary collab. Refusing to stay quiet, he fights off the trolls, swearing the partnership is real. But he gets a reality check, noticing a message demanding he streams until the end. His frustration just grows since they even planned an offline after party. Right then, a notification pops up, bringing a direct message from Jin So-jun. Getting hit with a jump scare, he reads the request for a direct call. Because the MC confesses he has no idea how to enter the lobby. Going into complete shock, Alpaca stares at his screen, unable to believe his eyes. Meanwhile, the chat is losing their minds, spamming the screen with laughs and heavy trolling. Still in denial, he wonders if this is all just some sick joke, so he officially puts the stream on standby. Our boy finally shows his face, dropping a quick apology. Sitting on hay bales, Alpaca bursts out laughing, remembering the MC is still a total noob. But the chat shows no mercy, clowning the newbie for failing to join a simple lobby. One comment points out it's Alpaca's fault for not setting this up beforehand. Suddenly realizing the broadcast is sitting at 19,000 viewers, the viewers start spamming insults straight at Alpaca. Looks like dragging this poor guy live is the new trend. The MC figure's personality runs the show, with bossy streamers silencing everyone, while others try to keep things super chill and peaceful. Honestly, he really rocks with this quiet, isolated vibe. Alpaca finally realizes he kinda left the MC hanging. Clapping his hands loudly, he pulls the chat's attention back, thanking our guy for officially taking down Drake. Out of nowhere, he gets 1,000 won to complete a wild challenge. The MC just can't hold back and starts laughing, taking the blame for Alpaca's super awkward situation. Fully convinced he's right, he drops a smug chuckle and strikes a pose. Flashing a cynical smile, the MC admits he heavily underestimated gamers' stubbornness. Viewers start flaming without mercy, pointing out Alpaca dug his own grave. Watching all this, he's stunned by how chill the MC is in front of a huge crowd. It hits him that the kid is actually enjoying this. Now stuck in a huge mess, Alpaca brings his hands together, begging our boy for help. Sounding hyped, he explains the plan is split into 2 parts. Pointing at the screen, he announces the chat is gonna learn everything from the MC, asking exactly which skills he leveled up. But the MC straight up reveals he didn't level anything. Alpaca tries figuring out why he'd ignore the most basic buffs. Looking a bit awkward, the MC scratches his face, asking if using them is mandatory. Stunned, he complains that whenever the kid gets nervous, he makes that weird face. Feeling the pressure, the MC admits he skipped the skill simply because he didn't know about it. Keeping a calm smile, he casually drops that he just never felt the need for it. The live chat erupts, making jokes about his absurdly cracked skills. Seeing 25,000 viewers on screen, Alpaca decides to just tank the pressure. Quickly shifting gears, he mentions the next phase revolves around that specific skill. He points straight at a video, asking if anyone has seen this clip before. The swords violently crash together, launching bright sparks into the air. The impact packs so much energy that the steel visibly vibrates, and one of the blades completely shatters. A system alert pops up about the quest to unlock the weakness detection skill. Comments flood the chat, with viewers heavily doubting what they're seeing. Alpaca explains that just like in fantasy novels, every weapon holds a weak point, because he swears there's a specific weak spot to break absolutely anything, and pulling off 10 breaks officially unlocks the skill. Throwing up 2 fingers, he clarifies he's already found 2 weak spots, Pointing out that broken rapier from the clip, he details the first one. Wrapping up the lesson, he reveals exactly how he found the longsword's weak spot. Someone asks what weakness detection actually does, but he admits he has no clue since it's the final locked skill. Suddenly he shifts his focus back over to the MC. Flashing a massive smile, Alpaca hypes up the fact that the MC already knew all this. Instantly the chat blows up, doubting his claims and calling his bluff. While the chat freaks out, the kid tries to cool things down by laughing it off. Loving the hype, he points a finger and drops a live challenge, betting on how many weak spots our boy can actually find. The system breaks down the channel points, which viewers earn just by watching. Riding the momentum, he announces a full playthrough of a horror game. Those points let viewers request stuff or mess with the stream effects. The system triggers the classic prediction feature, letting the chat bet it all live. Alpaca opens up the bets, hyping the crowd to drop their guesses in the chat. Seeing the confusion in the chat, he calmly breaks down the safe bet versus the underdog play. Keeping it simple, he explains how big risks bring massive payouts. The chat loses their minds betting on how many weak spots the MC will find. Double-checking with his buddy, he asks if betting on 4 or more is worth the risk. Our MC then warns the crowd that locking in 4 or more pays out 100 times. Suddenly a fan drops 10,000 won, confessing they bet 3 years of savings. Our boy flashes a super confident smile, swearing the payout will hit 100 times over. Rocking a calm and focused look, he stands out like the final piece of the puzzle. Now stepping right into the dawn of the Assassination Squad arc. Under the bright full moon, a massive mansion comes into view. Out of nowhere, blood splatters right onto the ground. A lightning-fast sword swing slashes across a kid's face. The attacker smirks, swinging a sword over the beaten kid. Shaking with fear, the poor kid begs for mercy, but he immediately gets smacked down again. Showing off a sadistic grin, the bully dares the kid to make a run for it. Pure panic completely takes him over. Back in the shadows, someone watches the whole thing unfold. The MC quickly recognizes the guy from that earlier clip. Alpaca suggests doing a quick check on our boy's true potential. He tosses a practice sword right to the MC, and reminds him that knowing where to strike is one thing, actually landing it is a whole different story. He lets out a light laugh, claiming that replicating the video beats any parry. A sharp scream escapes, painting pure shock right across his eyes. Moving fast, the MC drives the blade in, catching his opponent completely off guard. With a perfect hit, the enemy gets launched straight into the ground. Our boy stays standing, looking down at the fallen guy with zero care. A warning pops up on screen detailing he needs to break 10 weapons. Chat goes wild over his performance, roasting anyone who doubted him. Admitting defeat, Alpaca points out how easily he just pulled that off. He asks if the theory is finally proven. Dropping a quick comment, the MC says that uncertainty is officially over. With a confident smile, our boy confirms the rule he knows is spot on. Viewers explode with negative comments, but Alpaca tries calming everyone down. And that's where it gets crazy. The mood gets heavy as an intruder alert echoes. Flashing that mocking grin, the MC decides to prove his point. Highly focused, he narrows his eyes after spotting a weak point ready to be broken. Thinking back, he remembers how only enlightened monks could see that in the past. Now he shows he can actually replicate that technique, feeling the heavy weight of that ancient skill. He grasps the creator's true intention, swearing to master that power. Even with his eyes closed, the chat tries to make fun of him. Charging in without hesitation, the MC lands a clean strike against the enemy's guard. Under that heavy pressure, the shield cracks and the defender freezes in fear. Moving swiftly, he finishes the attack, making the enemy's shield vibrate from the hit. Right after that, he gets ready to end this. Gripped by sudden tension, Alpaca shows a look of pure surprise. Despite holding out, the shield finally gives way from the energy blast. Landing a massive blow, the MC shatters his opponent's shield. Shards fly everywhere, leaving Alpaca completely stunned. Fully hyped up, the kid can barely believe what he just witnessed. He's left in awe of our boy's cracked skills. Still confused, he wonders how he pulled that off with his eyes shut. Alpaca steps closer to the MC, still doubting the crazy sight he just saw. But our notification chimes right after, making him turn his head in confusion. Someone drops a donation, exposing an angry fan who accuses them of practicing this yesterday. Panicking hard, Alpaca denies the whole thing. He swears they weren't bluffing at all. Viewers lose their minds with angry texts and bettors left in total shock. Stepping in, the MC reminds them he said to trust him and bet big. With a cynical smile, he asks if the unlucky ones are in trouble now, bringing up the fact that there was a poll. One option asked if the MC was an alien who could predict over 4 points, getting only 1% of votes. Roasting the chat about that tiny 1%. Everyone in chat agrees, ironically celebrating the fact that they all failed. Laughing it off, the MC says collective failure is basically a tradition. He wins over the crowd, keeping full control while 30,000 people watch. Seeing the MC's social skills, Alpaca is surprised by his natural talent. Feeling relieved, he gestures to the audience trying to cool down the chat. Alpaca asks how the MC leveled up so fast, completely blown away by the performance. They ask about his real life, but he just jokes about being an average guy. Hit by sudden shock, the guy freezes on the spot with glazed eyes. That answer leaves Alpaca completely thrown off. Calling it crazy for the MC to say he's average, he reveals the kid's avatar matches his real face. Chat goes crazy finding out those good looks aren't edited, but his actual face. Facing their doubts, he keeps a mysterious look while his buddy freaks out behind him. Fans demand a balance patch from the devs, complaining that being this cracked and handsome is unfair. A donation alert pops up on screen with someone sending 10,000 won. Both of them freeze with blank stares after reading the message. The guy donating sends a text, joking that the MC's staff must be tiny. Quickly, Alpaca drops a joke about handing out a ban. Another donation alert shows up. Annoyed by the comments, Alpaca channels his inner angry dog energy, suggesting a timeout. But the commenter just tells him to let it slide. Soon after, a weird comment pops into the chat about the manager walking by with a knife. Sword in hand, the chat mocks his quick reflexes, paying the bail right away. Following that, Alpaca gives a loud, sharp clap, grabbing everyone's attention. Answering his partner's question, the MC honestly admits he can't see the weak spots. To that response, Alpaca tilts his head in doubt and drops a, "Then what?" Covering his mouth with his hand, the MC says he's going to reveal the secret, and he simply states it's just because he's a genius. Alpaca is completely lost. Just like the chat, viewers burst into laughter, roasting the funny face Alpaca just made. Still in disbelief, Alpaca wonders if that was actually supposed to be a secret. He practically begs for real answers. Breaking it down, the MC explains he just thought about the developer's logic. Acting sarcastic, he asks if our boy really cracked the creator's intention using only 2 cases. Pointing out the facts, he explains that parry was only meant for normal mobs. By analyzing the movement, he warns that hitting that spot is way harder, making it useless for clearing basic mobs. Mapping out the options, he shows the weakness system isn't even worth it there. His final conclusion is that this mechanic was built for boss fights. Agreeing with him, Alpaca mentions boss difficulty is way higher, so relying on parry would be rough, especially against Drake. With a smile, he announces he's going hunting for the rulers right now. Chat immediately blows up with frantic messages. Even with the chat in pure chaos, he ignores their requests and decides to focus on a safer bet. Checking the panel, he gives a suspicious smirk while muttering, "Alpaca." He glances at his partner, dropping a wild idea to open another bet. Setting the goal, he throws a bet into the chat about breaking a ruler's gear today. Viewers get ready to decide if he can actually pull this off. He just asks them to follow his lead with confidence. The scene cuts to a location getting completely blown up. Using a fast leap, someone launches away as the blast kicks up a dust cloud. Consumed by revenge, a man charges forward, promising to avenge his son. This is the boss Richard Neville, the leader of the monarchist faction. Gripping his sword, Richard rushes straight at the MC. With a smooth dodge, he avoids the strike. Caught completely off guard by the counter, Richard is left stunned. Realizing the MC's crazy speed, the fighter can't believe his eyes. Feeling frustrated, Alpaca vents about not finding any openings. Desperate over the situation, he panics, worried the crowd will lose their patience. Our MC easily dodges yet another swing. Watching that frantic trade from afar, the guy goes into shock. In the face of total disaster, he slips into full panic mode, shaking with fear over all the threats in the chat. His doubt takes over, figuring maybe this opponent doesn't even have a weak spot. Flashing a smirk, our boy fires back with irony, making it clear he's not impressed at all. Suddenly, a bright flash runs across Richard's body. Giving an intimidating stare, he warns he's gonna settle this right now. The boss charges the MC with everything he's got. Narrowly dodging, he counters with a precise hit, blocking the assault. Tired of falling for the same tricks, Richard lets out a yell, proving he won't be fooled. And no one saw that coming. A violent clash hits right at the tip of the blade. Right then, the boss feels the blade hit a critical spot. Seeing that, Alpaca is left completely stunned. That heavy strike creates cracks running all over the boss's body. Launching himself upward, our boy delivers a lightning-fast attack right after. A skill quest alert pops up on screen, showing he's already cleared 4. Now the counter climbs fast, hitting 5, 6, 7, and reaching 8 out of 10. Nailing another target, he hits the 9 out of 10 mark. DMC calmly steps back from the boss, who is shown completely bodied in the background with his armor shattered. In just a blink of an eye, Alpaca completely panics over what he just watched. While the enemy suffers from the blow, the MC strikes a pose in the background. Flashing brightly on screen, the goal is finally reached, 10 out of 10. A stylized blade splits open, showing half of it in gray tones. An alert pops up confirming he unlocked the weakness detection skill. Highlighted by the system, a critical spot on the the dagger glows bright red. Our MC then rests his sword right on his shoulder. Looking at the crowd, he mentions there was a little misunderstanding. He explains that it's not the weapon lacking a weak point, but the boss's body just having way more. Shifting scenes, we're now back outside the game. Feeling exhausted, he puts a hand to his head and takes a deep sigh. Lee shows up dropping a bow and throwing out a super hyped compliment. Bends at a perfect 90-degree angle, he replies by thanking him even more. Bringing that infectious energy, he says thanks and claims his gaming pod learned a lot. The MC spots something weird in the room, dropping a confused, "Ha!" Chilling on the couch, his buddy snacks on a cookie while holding the remote. Then he directly drops a "shouldn't you be going?" while the MC just answers with a lost "where to?" Finally realizing it, he lets out a quick "oh, right," snapping back to reality. In another place, the chat is blowing up with insults. Trying to calm the chaos, Alpaca begs for peace while the toxic comments flood in. A viewer loses patience and forcefully tells him to shut his mouth. Looking completely shocked, he tries to speak, but only a mute sound comes out. Rocking a smile and a scratched face, he finally announces the guy's ready. Hyped up, he stretches his arm out, introducing his guest with a huge smile. Slowly, the door opens up, revealing a radiant light that brightens the room. Alpaca strikes a cool pose wearing his sunglasses. Keeping a calm vibe, our boy finally steps in. With a commercial-ready smile, he introduces himself as Jin Seiyujun, a streamer. Right there on screen, viewers start comparing him to his in-game avatar. Loving the interaction now, Alpaca looks at the camera and asks everyone's opinion. He asks if the guy isn't just gorgeous, and the chat goes crazy over his looks, dropping tons of comments praising the kid's face. Someone in chat then drops jokes, comparing his looks straight to Alpaca. Offended by the roast, he starts whining, claiming he used to be a heartthrob. Chat shows absolutely zero mercy, heavily mocking if that weight gain was just fat. To top it off, they throw out several cruel jokes and he completely crumbles. Seeing things get awkward, he announces he's stepping out to prepare something. Our MC tries to calm the crowd, explaining Alpaca just went to get dinner ready. The vibe shifts when a generous 50,000 won donation drops from someone named Appa. Feeling awkward reading a cute confession, our boy bluntly asks if the sender is a guy or a girl. In the end, the chat ignores his question and joins the joke, spamming the screen with spicy teasing. Freezing instantly, he gets hit with another 50,000 won donation for Medu. Viewers get hyped, asking for tips on how to detect weak spots themselves. After reading that message, he lets out a tired sigh and leans back in his chair, remembering exactly how to use the skill. He ponders if it was even worth sharing, realizing it's a cracked talent capable of shredding armor just by hitting that mark. But he just throws up a peace sign and smiles, keeping the secret safe for the next stream. Clapping his hands loudly, he gets hyped to answer one more question. Now, the chat opens up a Q&A segment to interact with the crowd. Getting asked about that mysterious fragment of order, he admits he's completely lost. Next up, a curious question drops about his workout routine and he answers, slightly confused that he mostly just runs. A viewer then asks why he picked his specific game and he replies that a buddy recommended it. Teasing him a bit, the chat tries figuring out who this mysterious friend is. The scene cuts to a piece of meat hitting a hot grill, sizzling instantly. Super excited, the MC's friend points right at himself using the tongs. Between sips of their drinks, the chat floods with curiosity about how they first met. So he reveals they've been buddies since high school and are actually roommates now. Fans lose their minds noticing that crazy coincidence. Right then, one specific comment catches their eye and turns into a huge joke. Pretending he didn't catch that, he laughs nervously while trying to play it cool. To make things even messier, the user Noted Chance drops a 1,000 won donation, sending in a clip. Totally desperate over the chaos, he yells for everyone to stop right now. Moving quickly, the MC grabs his phone and taps the video. Inside the clip, his friend lets out a sarcastic laugh, grabbing everyone's attention with the story. He starts spilling secrets about the guy he shares his apartment with, telling the story of when our boy literally washed his phone with soap just because it was dirty. But the craziness doesn't stop there, because one time he asked the MC for help cooling down his pod, but the result was pure comedy. Letting out a little giggle, he roasts the MC for trying to cool the pod all by himself. He was just squatting there, fanning the heavy machine with a tiny hand fan. Our boy suddenly appears behind him after watching the video, rocking a dead serious threatening face, pressing the hot tongs right against his buddy's cheek. Shortly after, he wraps things up and drops a comment saying the meal was amazing. They celebrate the stream's massive success, treating genuine compliments. Staying humble, they exchange thanks, admitting they learned a ton from each other. The chat asks if our MC is going to become a full-time content creator on YouTube, but he answers he's not sure since he lacks experience. Alpaca then drops some advice saying if he goes that route, he really needs a solid editor. Out of nowhere, he slams his hand hard against the table. Sporting a huge smile, he offers to introduce him to someone he knows. knows. The MC leaves curiosity hanging in the air, asking if there is really someone his buddy knows. Somewhere else, right after that talk, he takes a breather and cracks open a cold beer to relax. Taking that first sip, he feels the refreshment and drops a smile of pure peace. However, between sips, our MC wonders if becoming an YouTuber is really worth the hype. Looking back at that chill vibe, with Alpaca insisting that the channel could make him grow way more. And to seal the deal, he points out the money's actually pretty good, but warns that having a solid editor is what truly defines success. Our prota then asks how Lee ended up editing for Alpaca. So, he explains his office life was just average until he discovered Alpaca's channel, mentioning the guy actually had talent, but constantly left the channel out to dry. He holds up his phone showing Alpaca's smiling face right on his profile. Keeping that in mind, he reveals he tried to help out and pitched a partnership. The guys at the table ask if he really threw everything away for someone who was a complete nobody back then. Alpaca flashes a modest little smirk, claiming he was just confident. Lee then says he was absolutely sure this Alpaca was gonna blow up. Back to the present, the city skyline shows the day just beginning. While watching the sunrise, the MC thinks out loud about needing an editor. He gets that dominating YouTube is vital, but his real focus is taking Leos to the top. Shin Ha-yoon's viral victory clip pops up on screen showing off that shiny gold trophy. Staring at that immersion pod, he remembers his original plan was just to buy the gear and dip. But in the end, he ends up admitting that streaming is way cooler than he thought, with the chat heavily trolling around, making fun of him for not understanding a single thing, but begging him to stay live for just a bit longer, staying completely quiet. The prota drops his head, lost in deep thoughts about everything. Holding onto that beer can, he wonders if deep down he was actually feeling lonely. Looking out at the view, he lets out a quiet maybe, basically agreeing with himself, keeping his eyes locked on that cherry blossom tree. In watching those falling petals, the memory of his past life comes rushing back. Feeling the weight of it all, our boy reflects on the emptiness of never being able to return. Not knowing exactly what to do, he decides a heavy workout might help. A loud noise echoes through the building, shattering the quiet vibe. Right in the center, two guys are boxing it out in the ring. The MC throws a straight punch that barely grazes his opponent. Exhausted, he lets out a heavy breath, trying to catch his rhythm again. The coach says it's normal seeing him there, chasing the relief only a hardcore session brings. But the funny thing is, as brutal as it looks, whoever gets beaten by him actually levels up. Soon he gets interrupted by someone yawning, calling out for the coach. Looking miserable, Lee Don-soo asks how much longer this workout is going to take. Right then, the coach pats his head, reminding him he only started 2 weeks ago. Rocking a grumpy face, he insists he's an actual pro. Then he gets shut down fast, getting reminded he's a pro in games, not in real life. Pouting with pure annoyance, Dong explains the coach forced him to get this practical experience. Feeling hopeless, he thinks he's going to be stuck on the treadmill until the next tournament. Now he throws himself on the floor, throwing a tantrum, demanding to learn real combat. Finally giving in to the whining, the coach agrees to go easy with a quick spar. Super hyped. The red-haired kid practically vibrates with joy at the news. Taking the chance, Dong asks if he can pick his opponent, and the coach gives the green light. Beaming with pride, he jumps up, challenging the whole room with a battle cry. In that exact moment, Dong hears a heavy thud. Turning around, he spots someone laid out flat on the floor. Glancing at the ring, the redhead sees our MC standing tall over his defeated opponent. Realizing our boy looks super familiar, sparking a question, is that the guy from yesterday's video? Remembering his buddy bringing the phone close, heavily pushing the recommendation. Even Ha-yeon watched that mind-blowing scene. With a hint of disrespect, he drops a toxic comment about the MC's performance, wondering how some small-time streamer even got in there. Dong shoots him a highly suspicious glare, but the MC realizes he's being watched, staring right back at Dong now. Caught completely off guard, the redhead's eyes go wide, freezing on the spot. While pretending to look for a sparring partner, he gets spooked by that intense stare. Then, the coach jumps in and asks if the kid has already picked his opponent, dropping a quick life lesson about the whole training process. Taking over the space, the coach blocks his view with a super boring lecture. Gulping hard, he feels the weight of those words and looks away, visibly stressed. Scanning the MC's build, he completely underestimates his strength. Brushing off the lecture, he tunes out the words entirely. Pointing straight at our boy, he bluntly asks to throw down. And that's where it gets crazy. The coach goes into shock, letting out a yell of pure disbelief. Right after, the crowd goes wild, eyes gleaming at the chance to fight the newbie. With a totally innocent look, he questions if it's rude to challenge someone you just met. Laughing nervously with a cold sweat, he agrees the request is actually pretty disrespectful. Glancing back, the coach notices our MC watching the whole thing. Breaking the heavy vibe, our boy steps up with a towel on his shoulder and accepts the challenge. Reacting with a sarcastic glint in his eyes, Dong drops a highly ironic, "Oh really?" He fires off the question, leaving the MC visibly surprised since Dong recognizes him from the clip. The MC then suggests they just get in the ring already. Wasting no time, both of them take their spots in a ring, ready to start the duel. Adjusting his glove, Dong breaks the silence with some straight talk. Flashing a taunting smile, he asks if the MC is actually cracked at the game. Keeping up the arrogance, the redhead brags about his skills, claiming no one can beat him. Looking completely bored, the MC just asks who he even is again. Dong is left totally lost, rocking a dumbfounded look and not understanding a thing. But the arrogant kid loses his mind, realizing his God of Gaming title means zero here. Thinking about how his rival seriously lacks experience. Showing off his confidence, the guy promises to reveal everything after he wins. Our boy gets right into his stance, taking one solid step forward. He charges in while the red-haired kid keeps running his mouth. Dong doesn't even have time to react and takes a clean punch straight to the face. Meanwhile, the scene cuts outside to the massive building under the blue sky. Taking a quick sip of his drink, someone seriously grabs the MC's attention. Right behind him, our boy's dad shows up to say he went way too hard. Remembering Dong's build, he figures the kid is basically just a random guy. Analyzing his moves, he respects the talent, but points out his body still lacks muscle. It was all over in a flash, leaving him knocked out cold on the floor. His dad asks how the streaming gig is going. Keeping it cool, he mentions he won't stand in the way now that things are chill. He asks if the channel has been losing viewers lately, finding out that Kim, his buddy, has been lying to his own parents. His dad drops a bright smile, saying he finally made a choice. Then, he suggests playing an old-school game together, but our MC admits he's never heard of it, making his dad explode with outrage over his ignorance. Drinking his milk, he teases that the kid needs to switch up his style to get more views. Frowning slightly, he recalls that the last time he checked, it was sitting at 440. The MC then sounds hopeful that hitting 3,000 followers will pull more people to the stream. Suddenly, his dad spits out his drink, catching his son completely off guard. Eyes wide open, he goes into absolute shock hearing it's already at 3,000 followers, standing completely paralyzed by that number. Soon after, the entire internet turns into pure chaos because of that broadcast, and the hype blows up online, with every single post hitting over 30 likes. The comment section totally flips, dropping all the hate against him for good. Laying in his room, he realizes just how many people actually know who he is now. Right then his phone buzzes with an alert, cutting his thoughts short. A notification breaks the silence. His friend shows a viral post trying to cancel him with 1,000 downvotes. Curious, he stares at the phone screen with a deadpan look. Letting out a short laugh, he shows a little bit of mockery in his expression. His buddy sends a text joking about how fame always brings unexpected haters. Wasting no time, he decides to report the ridiculous post to end it right there. Staring at the phone, he wonders if he'll really need to explain himself this soon. He sits down in the pod to finally dive back into the game. With a subtle smirk, he catches himself wondering how many people will tune into the stream. The stream title says he's gonna drop a confession. Suddenly the viewer count spikes, jumping from 701 straight to 1,304. The counter shoots up once again, locking in exactly 1,500 viewers. With a heavy thud, Paimo slams the table, making it crystal clear his patience is gone. Mind blown, seeing that weakness detection is already unlocked. The original plan required a whole month and still heavily relied on pure luck. Even with the warning, the vibe gets heavy and he sinks into the couch in frustration. He complains that the other guy didn't even bother listening. The guy tries to cool things down, pointing out the obvious and telling him to just watch. Confused, Paimo furrows his brow and asks what he actually means by watch. At that, he turns the laptop toward the CEO, telling him to just check out the clip. He then shifts his focus back to the screen, smashing that play button now. The video shows the MC going on the offensive, rushing the enemy with a lightning-fast sword swing. Now, holding a calm and confident look, he keeps his guard up while the opponent is seen in the back, armor completely shattered. And no one saw that coming. His eyes go wide while his own voice shakes in pure disbelief. Suspicious, Paimo asks if this is just some bug, but gets instantly shut down. The guy goes full detective mode, adjusts his glasses, and starts breaking down everything about Sojun. Hyped up, he fires off technical explanations on how the prota figured out the move. Analyzing it from a dev's perspective, he promises there are zero cheats involved here. Tired of the super technical rant, he just says he gets it. The guy kills the mood, saying it's not over yet, making Paimo absolutely furious. Consumed by frustration, he freaks out, screaming everything goes down the drain if that fragment spawns. The guy lets out a bored sigh, acting totally indifferent to all this chaos. Pure shock takes over his face as he catches a glimpse of the fragment. revealing the crystal is a huge Easter egg, a special quest tied to an update dropping next month. Now the screen glows bright as the fragments of chaos finally show up. Paimon realizes this definitely wasn't supposed to happen. His plan was to drop a teaser trailer for the update, and only then reveal the shards. Admitting he calculated everything flawlessly, so it would drop right on schedule. But now the whole setup is at risk of falling apart, all because of one single player. He collapses on the couch, completely devastated. Asking about the editing deadline, he gets told it takes a solid month. Now visibly stressed, he asks how long it would take if they crunched with overtime. Thinking it over, the guy drops an estimate of just 1 week for the whole thing. Gripping his hands tight, he wonders what the odds are of our prota getting the rest of the fragments in that time frame. The guy flashes a massive smile, yelling out that he actually has the perfect answer for that. Eyes shining with pure hype, he confirms the kid has a 100% chance of pulling it off. Paimon straight up shakes from the heavy pressure. Annoyed, he grits his teeth and calls the guy a major headache. A massive yell telling him to get out echoes across the entire building. Exhausted by the drama, he leans back in his chair and lets out a tired sigh. Hit by sudden shock, the guy's eyes go wide. The laptop screen lights up with the video. Unable to process it, he grabs his head, muttering in frustration if the guy really pulled that off. Keeping his eyes locked on it, he radiates some cold, heavy tension. Spooked by what he's seeing, he mutters, "They just gotta admit it," and clicks the video again. With a quick click, the replay kicks in, showing fast and intense cuts. Then, the clip pauses mid-swing, racking up 123,000 views. Drawing his blade fast, the MC steps in with a raw and intimidating aura, slipping into a stance, wrapping his whole body in a bright pink glow. Still not satisfied, Paimon digs up more info on our MC. Now watching yet another video, our prota faces down another ruler. Paimon finally admits that everything the kid does is just insanely cool. Typing nervously, he complains about wanting to threaten his employee, but admits watching the prota is super entertaining. Checking the clock, he gets jump-scared realizing it's already past 3 in the morning. Stretching out in his chair, he drops a sigh and thinks about this rare feeling of satisfaction. Because nothing beats seeing players enjoy his game in totally unexpected ways. Remembering the absolute nightmare it was to code this game back in the day, a smile slips right onto his face. Soon enough, he finds the MC's profile and smashes that follow button without a second thought. Back in the MC's lobby, the panel lights up and the stream officially goes live. Staring at the camera, the kid freezes up and drops a shy hello while hesitating. The system flashes an alert calling for Sail High, questioning the stream's title. Watching the chat speed up from the massive crowd, he promises he's ready for this. But the MC gets distracted trying to imagine what the viewers look like based on their usernames. A guy riding a white horse, completely beaten up and hooked to an IV drip, and some massive fish. Snapping back to reality, he checks if everyone made it to the stream. Then he announces the new official mods to keep the chat in check. Judging, they're totally meme-worthy usernames. Introducing his squad, he shows off the loyal day ones who've been there since the start, mentioning everyone accepted right away except for one guy who just ghosted. But, ignoring the missing dude, he pulls up the channel rules to set things straight. Our boy takes a quick read through the chat rules popping up on the digital screen. Some viewers start asking what's up with the stream's title. He makes a deadpan face and drops an "oh about that." The MC then reveals some people are acting highly suspicious of him for finding the boss's weak spot way too easily. Keeping a calm and unbothered look, he admits he didn't really explain how he pulled that off in the last stream. Right after, a sarcastic message pops up on screen pointing out he doesn't look sorry at all. The crowd then asks how he found the weak point, so the prota tries breaking it down, but it's useless since no one gets it. Because of that, he confesses he reported himself just to shut everyone up. Chat blows up in pure shock with messages full of question marks. Opening the game's support page, he blatantly types out that he used hacks without even knowing. Viewers start flooding the screen with laughs, completely mocking the situation with heavy trolling. Catching on to the play, the crowd bursts into laughter, realizing the game company will have to prove it for him. Flashing a proud smile, the prota asks if everything is clear now. The chat goes wild, calling the guy a chill psychopath and a streaming genius. Deciding to skip the filler, he announces he's logging in right now. Barely finishing his sentence, a new alert pops up on screen and leaves him stunned. A notification glows bright, showing someone set up a quest worth 1 million won to use the weakness skill on the tower's ruler. The MC lets out a gasp seeing 1 million won, but quickly questions questions how useful the skill is against a master with no visible gear. Remembering the tower, boss uses magic, he drops a serious doubt about whether he can actually cut it, with someone in chat confirming it's actually possible. Pausing to process the info, he taps his chin and agrees that makes sense. Analyzing the details, the prota thinks about the weight of the task, feeling the reward is way too high for a first run, but he freezes for a second, staring right at the message. Feeling tense, he realizes the guy who sent the quest was none other than one of the game's developers. Chat erupts in laughter, roasting the kid's innocence like the whole thing was fake. Suddenly, a massive light flashes across the screen, followed by a spectacular glow. Now inside the game, he faces the massive Etherius Spire, the city of mages. A mysterious figure who rules the place appears, the supreme master of the tower. Behind that formal posture, the guy actually loves running bizarre tests on people. With a loud crash, he lands on the roof using brutal force, kicking up dust. Our prota dashes over the houses at blazing speed. Hitting the street, he ends up spooking some poor girl. Shaking, the girl lets out a sigh of relief, realizing the intruder isn't an assassin, or maybe he is. Ignoring her completely, the prota says it's time to take out the target. The chat matches his energy, with viewers making jokes about invading through the front door. While checking the comments, someone asks if he knows the tower, but the MC confesses, dropping a sarcastic no, treating the challenge like a hardcore run. Teasing him, the chat points out he's just rushing in blind, wondering if the place is way too tough. Wasting zero time, he stops his foot firmly on the ground, deciding to risk it all, pushing the double doors and walking right in through the front. Upon crossing the entrance, the kid gets caught off guard by the massive hall. Not knowing where to go, he decides to follow two people, wondering if they're mages. Scanning the area, the prota notices there are way fewer people here than he thought. Right there in the chat, viewers quickly mention that mages are actually rare. Our boy spots two guards standing by the door. Noticing the chat go quiet, he figures he's heading the right way to the 4th floor. But there's no time to react, as a guard pops up out of nowhere blocking his path. Trying not to panic, he draws his weapon, figuring intimidation is enough. But our prota quickly charges right at him, taking the guard down in the blink of an eye. He then slams the door wide open. Stepping into the hall, he feels something off. A heavy shock takes over his whole body. Locked down by a red magic circle, he tries to move, but his body just won't listen. Hearing a sinister laugh coming from the shadows, he turns his head, highly tense. An opponent steps out of the dark holding blue flames and taunting him with pure disrespect. In a flash, the mage launches the flames straight at the MC. With cold sweat running down, he faces the strike with a look of pure determination. Suddenly, his arm completely relaxes, realizing the lockdown finally gave out. Dodging it by a hair, the mage complains about the mist, shocked. Letting out a sigh of relief, the prota feels like he finally got control of his body back. Flashing a cynical smile, the mage openly mocks the situation. He then gears up for another attack. Facing the blue flash, the prota stares down the opponent, channeling all that power. Wearing a confident grin, the mage blasts his magic. But our boy stays completely chill in front of the threat. The system triggers the weakness detection skill. Focusing his eyes, he boots up a tech interface that reveals everything in front of him. Surrounded by dark projectiles, he holds his ground in the center, glowing super bright. With a fast move, the prota lines up the blade right by his face. Right then, a blue flash expands out. Rushing in, he delivers a clean, precise sword strike. Chat loses their minds seeing the slash cut right through the magic. Using one smooth motion, he slices through everything in his path, always keeping that unbothered stare. And that's where it gets crazy. The mage freezes up and drops his jaw, entirely in shock at the scene. In a quick dash, the prota pushes forward. Hitting a fast counter, he ends the duel with one flawless slash, bragging that the task was super easy, but he gets confused as to why his own body didn't react earlier. Meanwhile, the chat starts trolling, and one of the subs tries to hold back a spoiler. Trying to bounce from the stream, the guy ends up getting dragged back by the chat. A viewer warns him that the Tower Force actually have debuffs, but before they drop more info, the guards show up. Our prota rushes in with his blade ready for the next hit. Out of nowhere, an unexpected physical reaction locks him down mid-charge. Someone in the comments points out the 5th floor debuff flips your senses around. With his body still feeling wonky, he spots the guard coming right at him, gripping the handle super tight. Moving fast, he unleashes a heavy, powerful slash. Blown away by his crazy adaptability, they joke that penalties turn into pure advantages for him. The prota asks what's waiting on the 6th floor, but even the chat can't remember. Right then, a loud rumble echoes across the floor. The ground starts to cave in and completely fall apart. That impact creates a shockwave that sends debris flying everywhere. Standing right there, the prota watches it all with cold eyes, keeping his guard up. The shock of the buff kicks in. Now the effect is so heavy that he starts moving in slow motion. Annoyed by how slow it is, the chat demands he just use the skip button. Facing this new layer, the alert drops. The 7th floor is pure, pitch black darkness. Realizing that, he knows crossing this point takes him straight to the spire's master. Our boy walks over a magic circle, stepping forward right into the void. Heavy pressure takes over the air, giving off a dark aura all around. Seeing this absolute darkness, viewers start wondering if he's actually gonna fail here. Step by step, the Prota keeps pushing forward, diving deep into the shadows. Scanning the area, he figures out the layout is exactly the same as the past levels. Closing his eyes, he decides to dive deep and remember every single detail. Meanwhile, a massive flare erupts out of nowhere. In the back, a mage aims directly at our boy. Feeling an attack coming, he dodges at the very last second. The next debuff is triggered. The whole zone collapses for real, with giant chunks of debris raining down on him. Our Prota keeps his cool while highly focused. Using surgical precision, he drops a clean slash, splitting everything in front of him. Looking closely, the bright glow in his eyes shows pure determination. The chat starts wondering right now if this kid is even human. Once again, the trap gets activated. Blasts of freezing energy rip through the air, spawning sharp shards all over the place. With an agile move, the Prota leaps right toward the blasts. Dashing like a blur, he launches a blazing fast attack. The mage panics seeing her hits do 0 damage, cursing out the whole situation. That curse word was more than enough for the Prota to hear, proving that he finally tracked her down. Spooked, the mage can barely breathe facing the danger. Trying to counter, the mysterious mage summons strikes of blue flames. But our Prota just dodges it, and perfectly parries the attacks at the exact same time. Now our boy rushes straight toward the mage, knowing her exact spot right now. Panting hard, she struggles to catch her breath. In full panic mode, she summons flames in both hands. Using the darkness to his advantage, the Prota pins her down, warning that assassins always dominate the shadows, taking her out right after. Rocking a peaceful smile, he steps into the room, relieved he made it through without a scratch. Chat completely blows up as 2 subs drop 10,001 each as a gift. And the Dono counter doesn't stop since another 10,000 rolls in right after. Flashing an ironic smile, he says thanks, but asks if that isn't just the normal way everyone beats that stage.